Okay, good evening, everybody. I'll ask you to relax and settle in. We're going to start our meeting now. This is a meeting of the Town of Norton Zoning Board of Appeals. I'm one of three members, Tom Noel. To my left is Jim Tenori, and to his left is Lucas Wozniak. We have two items on the agenda tonight. I will take them in order as posted. This meeting is being held at the Town Hall as published and advertised with remote participation enabled through our electronic bulletin board, which was also published and noticed properly. The first item on the agenda is the application of 34 Woodland Road. Is Mr. Lanza here?
I think he's on Zoom.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I don't hear you well, but I hear you well enough to be understand what you're saying.
Is this any better?
Much better.
Okay, I guess this goes to the room. I didn't realize that. Okay,
So,
thank you.
Right, so it's important that you all just speak directly right into the mic.
I didn't realize this goes to the room amplification. That's fine. Thank you for coming back. This was an item that we continued at our last public hearing to tonight at 7 p.m., so we're going to take this first. Mr. Lanza and the applicant operating at 34 Woodland Road have asked about a merged lot and whether it can be unmerged into two separate lots, yielding a second buildable lot on which there would be a plan to build a single-family residence. I did not know that that was within the realm of possibilities of this board, but Town Council, Mr. Lanza, is he still there?
I'm still here.
I didn't see you. I guess the screen just goes blank when you're not talking. I did not know this, but Town Council confirmed that we do have the power to do that. I thought we did not, and that's what I had commented last time. And frankly, I recalled asking the applicant if they wanted to think about presenting this as something different. But in the meantime, I was able to communicate with Town Council Amy Questle, and she informed us that we could do this. The question is whether we will do this. My view is that it would require several variances, not from notes, just from memory. It would require a variance as to the front yard setback, I think both side yard setbacks, lot size, frontage, and there may be one or two others, but the standard variance provisions would apply to that. If we decided to do that, we would have to grant variances for lot, I think it's 161. Is that right, Mr. Lanza?
No, because that lot, with or without the abutting lot, that's the subject lot, is grandfathered. It's grandfathered. It has 5,000 square feet, 50 feet of frontage. A single-family residence was built on it before zoning, the first zoning bylaw was adopted in Norton in 1974. So if that lot, had the lot abutting it, merged into it, that's one thing. If it's not, then it's still independently grandfathered.
I'm just trying to get straight which lot we're talking about. The plan of record indicates, I think, that 161 is the one that is not built on.
That's correct.
Okay, so,
My point is 162, with or without 161 is grandfathered independently.
understood, and it has a residence on it.
Correct.
So we're talking about variance relief for 161. I suppose it would also require finding and variances for 162 as well. Maybe that's what Mr. Lanza is saying. Mr. Lanza, was the plan to construct a single-family residence on 161, similar to as has been done on 162?
Yes, and I believe the owner, Live and Learn Ventures, the manager, is in the meeting room, and he provided some sketches of what the house would look like, and also provided a site plan showing the footprint of the proposed house.
Yes, and I was just looking at the site plan. Who is the applicant? Is he here this evening?
Yep, I'm right here.
Oh, thank you, sorry.
Yeah, Kyle Furnon, live there.
Okay, thank you very much. So there's no dispute that this lot did merge by operation of law, is that right, Mr. Lanza?
That's correct, merged for zoning purposes, yes.
Okay. For some reason, the registry does not have it as two separate lots, it still has it as one?
That's correct, and this situation occurs all the time where the law requires the building commissioner to view the property as a single lot, but as a matter of law, as a matter of record, it's two separate lots. Now, some people, when they buy multiple lots and have no intention to build on the lots that don't have the buildings on them, will file a plan and formally make them, for all purposes, a single lot. Another way to do it is to do a description in a deed that describes the perimeter. It says, meaning and intending to convey the 3 lots or 2 lots as a single lot. That never happened. So as a matter of record at the registry of deeds, it remains a separate lot. For purposes of the building commissioner, as matters stand now, it's a single lot. So it depends on which lens you're looking for, and we're asking to restore it to its former glory as to be a separate, single buildable lot with 50 feet of frontage and 5,000 square feet.
All right, I'm going to ask the members to chime in if you have questions as well. But my question initially is, do you have to go to the planning board to actually separate the lots? How does one do that? I don't know. We've not done that at this board. I don't think we have the power to actually separate the lots. We can grant variances.
Town council advised you that there was a necessity to go to the planning board and file an A&R plan to separate the lots for all purposes, not just record purposes, but for zoning and. I don't think that's necessary, but if the board were to grant the variance, we would agree to that as a condition that we'd have to comply with.
Okay. Do you have questions, Lucas, Jim? As council pointed out in her response to
Yeah, that's
us,
what we're reading.
it has to satisfy the normal variance requirements. To me, this is an R60 zone, I believe. Is that right? Or was it 80? Well,
Please look at the application.
Yeah, it doesn't say.
It's R60.
R6.
R60, okay, thank you, again. So it looks to me like, looking at lot 161, it would be short side yard, front yard setback. This is the proposed house shown here, of course. Lot size, frontage, all these factors would need variances. I'm wondering if it also would need findings under 165. I'm not sure, but I'm having difficulty understanding how we could grant variance relief on those 5 or 6 elements, because I don't think the factors for variance relief have been met. But I invite members to ask Mr. Alonso or Mr. Perlock questions as to what's intended here, or, to
So what year were these lots created?
what year?
What year were they created?
What year were the lots created? Do we know?
1939.
So it's been through several iterations of zoning changes. They merged, and Mr. Lanza said, he acknowledged that last meeting, that they are merged. I didn't think we could simply go ahead and either unmerge them or grant variance relief that would allow the applicant to unmerge them through whatever procedures available.
So it goes back to that whole checkerboard theory we always deal with.
That's right. And my feeling is, we've always dealt with, whether this is a good statute, public planning, or not, we've always dealt with this concept as, if they merged, it's because the zoning bylaws were set up to say, these small lots, if owned by the same owner, are going to merge together going forward unless the
You do
owner,
something within.
unless the owner at the time does something within a certain number of years,
Yeah, it was-
or puts or it comes under the small lot exemption or exception, that says you can build with 50 feet and 13 feet side yard. But neither happened here because no owner, and I realize this owner is the late comer. He's recent to the board game, but no prior owner took those steps. We've always taken the position as a matter of policy to, well, the bylaw says that, so we've got to follow the bylaw. And in fact, we've turned down several applicants who tried to tell us, no, they didn't merge. And for various reasons, we didn't credit that statement and very recently turned somebody down on that basis. That's the policy issue, but council also points out they have to satisfy the three prongs for a variance. Number one, owing to circumstances relating to soil conditions, shape, or topography, and especially affecting this land or structures, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which it's located. You can explain to me what the rest of that sentence means later. Two, a literal enforcement of the provisions or bylaw would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner or applicant. And three, that desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or derogating substantially from the intent or purpose of the bylaw. I don't think they meet one or three, frankly. And as counsel pointed out, the case of, we've seen this case before, Whelan v. Zoning Board, Mr. Lanza, of Norfolk in 2000, where the court, the Mass Supreme Judicial Court, said if the owner created the hardship, even if this is thought of as a hardship, if the owner created it, it doesn't pass muster. So I'm having trouble seeing how we could grant variance relief, but I want to give the applicant opportunity, unless you have other questions right now off the bat.
Nope.
I think you explained
Okay.
the way we feel as a board.
Mr. Lanza, are we missing something? Do you agree that this is a policy question for us?
Well, the board can, as a matter of policy, certainly can set its own policy for granting and denying dimensional variances. There's no question about that. It doesn't become binding precedent if you grant it for one and then don't grant it for the other. The law is pretty clear about that. You know, the issue is whether or not you're convinced that there's a hardship here by this lot being vacant and unbuildable without a variance, and whether it relates to something unique about the soil topography, shape, or structures. We take the position that the structure is on the property. If you face the two properties, it's on the right-hand side. So that would really preclude building something in the middle because it would be too close to the other structure. So the only place you can really build it is on the left side, which is the lot we're seeking variances for. So that kind of compels where the building will go. As far as derogating from the intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw, I mean, that's a very subjective analysis. I mean, what purpose and intent are we derogating from here? I don't see any. There's no abutter opposition. In fact, there's abutters, you know, two of them have written letters in support. I mean, one of the objectives that is certainly an objective of zoning these days, with the passage of the Affordable Housing Act in 2024, is to create more affordable housing.
Yeah.
So there's no question it's consistent with the purpose and intent of zoning. Again, you could, it's a subjective analysis. We understand the board has the right to go either way on this, but under these circumstances, we're urging the board to grant the variances and let the applicant proceed. I should point out, and I think it was pointed out, that we could have 2 units on the property by an as-of-right accessory dwelling unit. So you could end up with 2 units on the property in a different configuration than having, you know, 2 freestanding dwellings. So either way, it's not going to change the density. There's going to be 2 dwellings because, as you know, you can't deny it. But we just think this design and layout is better for everybody. There's no neighborhood opposition. In fact, there's neighborhood support. And you don't see that in every variance application. And it would serve a very, very significant housing need in the area.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that, what Mr. Lanza said, except that an accessory dwelling unit has other rules attached to it.
right.
Has to be controlled by the first dwelling or residence there, and is limited in size and scope and use, or size and use anyway. So I would counter that statement, but that's not what's being asked for. Please speak up if you have different feelings, because I tend to agree that, we're looking for more housing, everybody is. But the bylaw that exists, we've been following for 20 years, and we've in fact turned down other applicants on the same basis.
We just had one a couple months ago.
2 months, yes, or maybe it was last
Where
month.
Yeah.
the lines on the plan.
That was a little different because there were several lots, but
But still,
same
concept,
principle,
same
that they had merged.
Yep.
I was under the misimpression, I guess, that we couldn't act to unmerge them or allow the applicant. And I think that's a planning board process anyway, not ours. But Amy says we could if we wanted to, but we still have to satisfy those requirements of the bylaw. I can't vote for doing that in this case, given our procedure, our practice in the past, over the last 20 years of, saying, nope, if they merged, you should have done something then. And obviously, this applicant comes before us with a good idea and a legitimate idea and a nice proposal. But I can't suddenly switch gears on the policy that the way we've interpreted the bylaw for the last several years, including the three of us having done so together.
Yes.
But please speak up if you disagree.
Mr. Knoll, too.
Yes, please.
If I can talk.
Yes, you can, of course.
Yeah, so I understand everything you guys are saying 100%. So we are looking at it as somewhat more of a, like a broader mindset, as Mr. Lanza has already said. When I wrote this narrative that I put together for this, there was I think 4 houses in Norton that were listed under like $700,000 at the time. So we knew it was a risk when we purchased it. We did a renovation to the existing house at 34 Woodland, which was just done by like home investors. They did some really cheap, like lipstick on a pig type renovation, for lack of a better term. And we took that, redid that house, to do it right. And when we bought it, we saw that it had a separate deed reference, on the deed that specifically said lot 161 description, lot 162. You look up the plan when the whole development was created back in the 1930s, and it was, always intended to be a buildable lot. So we assume that whoever just bought the house just bought it, and just obviously who's going to know in 1938 to create a separate LLC for the land next to them. So I understand the merger law and how that all comes into effect. There is the small lot exemption that there is when you have like 5,000 square feet. There's those things. So we purposely did this house to meet. I know that doesn't exactly apply here, but we kind of proactively just designed our site plan to meet all of those setbacks. But of course, there is the merger aspect of things, so that's why we don't automatically just get that approval. But essentially, if it was just held under a different deed name for that lot, we would legit be able to just go for a building permit and get it.
Yeah,
So-
that's what we were referring to as the checkerboard
Right.
aspect of all of this.
So in terms of like what's been done before, I know Attorney Lanza said that, it's not like setting a precedent. Each case is separate of each other. He knows more of the attorney stuff than I do, of course. But we're just kind of looking at it like a broad view that we approach the neighbors, and we have 2 letters of support that from the 2 direct abutters, and one of the neighbors is a town employee. He said it was great. He just asked if we would install a privacy fence if we got approved. So we said, yeah, no problem. So at the end of the day, we're looking at it like there's a huge need for housing. It would be a house that we'd be able to list for probably in the 500,000s, which is in this price point still sounds like a lot, but that's actually pretty affordable in today's price points. So we're kind of looking at it from that broad view, not kind of getting into the nitty-gritty detail of the law like you guys have to do. But we're looking at it was designed to be a buildable lot. Actually, my house, I live in Milton, and my house that I built was the exact same scenario. It was two 3,500 square foot lots, and where my house now was the backyard of the merged lot. And the person I bought the land from got the approval from the Milton zoning board to do exactly, and I built a house on it, on a 3,500 square foot lot. That was the same thing, there was a subdivision plan that was done in 1899, and all the lots in the neighborhood were 50 by 70 at the time, which is kind of what this was, they were all 50 by 100. So we're really just looking at it like from a broad view that there's a huge need for housing in that price point. Kind of looking at it like we did the right thing, fixing that house that needed to be fixed up next door. We have the support of the neighbors, and we think it would totally fit the neighborhood. All those lots on that street in that area are around that 5,000 square foot size. So there's town water, town sewer available on the street. Obviously, with real estate taxes, building permit fees, utility connections, it's going to be over time, thousands and thousands of dollars for the town. So if that's an important thing to the town, they could, you could always lean on that as well. And it would just be a nice house. It would be fun to build. So that's kind of my my pitch.
Well, thank you. And it's hard to disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
We're just talking about the bylaw as it's been interpreted and by the courts as well. I don't know, I would like to find some way around this, but I don't know that I could vote for variance relief on the 5 or 6 aspects of variance relief that would be required for this project, given how we've decided these issues in the past and probably in the future. If the prior owner is the person who had to take steps to preserve the separation of the lots, and for whatever reason, the prior owners didn't do that, whether it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30, when the bylaws changed each time, they had an opportunity to take advantage of that time and chose not to.
I want to say that the bylaw is very clear in section 6.3 on exactly what we're talking about the adjoining lots, so, it is what it is. I mean, there's other options for accessory use or possibly a duplex through special permit, but to separate the lots, I just don't think we can do that.
Okay, is there a
You want
motion?
to open up the public or?
Sure. Is there anybody, yeah, thank you. Is there anybody else here to speak in favor of or in opposition to the application? This is a hearing we started a month ago and continuing tonight. Asking for the record if there's anybody else to speak for or against it. Yes, sir. Can you identify yourself?
Mr. Monitor here. Ralph Stefanelli, 12 James Street.
Yes.
Can the applicant withdraw without prejudice so he can continue this
The applicant,
debacle, in my opinion?
understood. The applicant can ask to withdraw the application without prejudice, and then we would take a vote on that. And that's kind of where we were last month when I said, Mr. Lanza, do you want to, we'll ask the question of town council, but you can look at this anew as well and come back to us in a month. Does the applicant wish to either withdraw and ask to withdraw without prejudice, or continue it another month to see if anything can be worked out to alter the plan? I don't want to shoot it down prematurely. It's up to the applicant as to how he wants to handle this. I don't think I could vote for this.
And, and I'm just giving you a heads up, I probably wouldn't vote for it either, so, it might be.
Right, so it's really not an issue of the design or the type of project, it's the board's just having a hard time finding that it could, grant variance based on the required criteria, so.
That's
It's really not, so withdrawing without prejudice, and we come back in 6 months with a new design, it's not gonna change things. The issue is still gonna be there, so.
the merger issue, yes. The way we are seeing it, yes. You could take some time to consult if you want to put it off again till the next meeting, if you want to talk with your client. I realize you're not in the same room, and I know how that works. We'd be happy to continue it for you again, but it's up to you. I'm just,
And does like case law from my house, for example, or other towns where this happens, does that like hold any weight with you guys, or like how is that looked at?
you'd have to talk to Mr.
Yeah.
Lanza about that. He's a very competent counsel, and we
Yeah.
can't answer that for you.
Right.
He probably could. How about if, I'm going to suggest that you continue it for a
Yeah.
month. you can at least talk about it and get back to us. I feel you're not going to have the opportunity to talk in private right now.
Yeah.
And that bothers me.
Can I just ask when the next meeting is?
You can ask.
It's scheduled.
I know it's scheduled. Hold on.
Yeah. Of course, I never write it down.
Because we are done with the house renovation that we just did for 34 Woodland. So, you know, we obviously want some direction. Am I listing this house with just 5,000 square feet, or am I listing it including both lots of the 10,000 square feet? Theoretically, like we talked about last meeting, I can just list it as 5,000 and we can, you know, keep ownership of the separate lot in question. We can do that. Obviously, if we end up getting rejected down the road, that kind of just hurt me what I can
Yeah.
get for my house because it's less land included with that, you know what I mean?
I understand, yeah. It was July 16th, thank you,
Yeah.
Brian. July 16 is the next meeting. You can always inform us of your plans ahead of time if you know, in lieu of appearing again, but,
We'd appreciate that.
okay, then is there a motion?
An extension.
Is there a motion to continue this till July 16th, again, say 7 o'clock, with all due respect to the applicant and his attorney?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that motion?
Nope.
Mr. Tenori, how do you,
Yes.
Mr. Wozniak?
Yes.
Mr. Noel votes yes as well. All right,
All right,
thank you. Be in touch with
Thank
us
you.
beforehand or see us on July 16th.
We'll let you know beforehand if we make a decision beforehand.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Good luck. Okay, the second item on the agenda is the application for what's listed as 0 Newcomb Street. It's a comprehensive permit under Chapter 40B of the Mass General Laws. The applicant is listed as Frederick Schobel. You are Frederick?
Yeah, I'm Frederick Schobel, yeah.
Okay, are you the engineer or?
I'm the engineer, yeah.
Okay.
Ian Burkcourt here. I filed it under my account.
Right, and the owner is here as well?
Yes.
And who is that?
My name is Rich Shea, Mr. Chair. I'm presenting the Senate Chair of Bills and Chris.
Okay, thank you very much. This is an application under Chapter 40B for a comprehensive permit. Chapter 40B was created by the Mass Legislature some years ago, as we probably all know, all too well, because we've had several applications come through town and several be approved and some of those be built. It is to develop affordable housing under the statute, and I'm speaking very generally here. Paul, feel free to jump in and correct, because Paul works with this every day, or just about every day. This is Mr. DiGiuseppe, who is our Building and Planning Commissioner,
Just the town planner. Ed is the building commissioner.
and the Building Commissioner, I'm sorry, yes, I messed up your titles. Well, you're the czar, the planning czar, let's just call Paul that.
Hardly.
But the statute is to encourage more affordable housing. It funnels all the decision-making through one board, luckily, hey, it's us. That was a bit of sarcasm. It funnels the decisions into the zoning board unless there's a conflict with state regulations, I believe, including environmental issues. But under 40B, 1/4 of the units planned are planned to be affordable, meaning that the purchasers, and again, I'm speaking very generally, I may get the details wrong, purchasers who make under 80%, I believe, of the average income level set by the state, not by us, have to be the purchases of 1/4, 1/4 of the planned units. I see the applicant, and I think Paul is nodding. Generally, that's a general overview of the law. In this case, 74 units are planned. I believe 37 duplex units, correct? The plans are of record for anybody who is interested in the project to either come to town hall or to obtain them online to review and look at. Under Chapter 40B, there is a lot of public participation, so anybody who wants to be heard will be heard. But there are some initial issues that we have to take up now. And first, I'm going to ask Mr. DiGiuseppe, if it's okay with the other members, to just bring us up to date. The town knew about this some months ago, correct, Paul?
Correct.
The town has been working with the applicant since at least last summer or the fall?
Yeah, correct. After the approval of the last couple of 40B projects and some other things, we're actually above, the state sets a standard of 10%. They have a goal that every community be at least 10% of their overall housing be subsidized housing. We actually just went above 10%. So now we're in that area called the safe harbor rule. Whereas if you're below 10%, which we were for decades, essentially any 40B project that comes in, the board has to approve it.
Well-
The standard to deny it is extremely difficult to get. But here.
And that has happened recently, that has happened within the last couple of years,
Right.
so
Yeah.
everyone's
Yeah.
clear. We've had several projects come before us that we've approved because of that low number.
Right.
Because we were
Right.
below the minimum
Right.
10%.
Right, right.
For
You would have had
affordable
to,
housing.
but now that you're above 10%, it gives the town more leverage
Mm-hmm.
on it. And one of the leverage points now is, as we're in a safe harbor, if we apply for the safe harbor rule to the state, any decision cannot be appealed to the Housing
Appeals Committee.
Appeals Committee or court, Housing
Whatever
Appeals
it's
Court.
called now, right, they've changed the names.
So it's treated more like how the planning board does a special permit. You don't have this state court that can rule against you. They're not eligible to do so. So it gives you more leverage in terms of conditions.
And my understanding is, under the safe harbor rule, we take an initial vote to either proceed with the application, in which case conditions that we impose are not appealable. I think that's what you were just
Correct.
referring to.
Correct.
Or to simply deny the application outright.
Correct.
And that's the decision that by law has to get made. We're opening the public hearing tonight, so we have 15 days to decide that and communicate that out. Is that,
Right, you have 15 days to file the letter to the applicant and to the state that you're seeking the safe harbor rule, and you determine tonight if you want to go forward with the application or not. But you can go forward with the application, but still be under the safe harbor and have those, rights that are granted to communities that are over 10%.
that we didn't have in any prior project? Remember talking about the conditions, it always had to be economic? That was one condition the court could review later.
Yep.
Not that we ever tried, because we are a good faith board, and we didn't try to make it uneconomic for anybody. We want housing in the town because it's needed. But because we're over the 10%, those conditions that we may seek to impose, remember we said we want a bus shelter, tell us why you can't do it.
Yeah.
Now we could simply say,
You have to do
we
it.
want a bus shelter, there are gonna be children there, we want a bus shelter, we wanna put this over there.
Can you speak?
I'm sorry, thank you. And the applicant yeah, I'm sorry. Understood, and I'm sorry. We haven't had live mics until tonight.
Or Zoom.
Now Jim is going to sing, and
No.
Paul will play the guitar. No, what I was explaining is now that we are at the 10%, we've reached the 10% minimum in town for affordable housing. That means out of the 4 or 5 or 6,000 housing units Norton has, I forgot what the number is, at least 10% of those are considered affordable. That means under 40B, the town has more leeway. We are in a safe harbor zone. That's what has become to be known. And as Paul and I were just going back and forth, I'm sorry we didn't use the mics more effectively. We in fact, within 15 days of this, the opening of the public hearing, have to make a decision and communicate it out whether we invoke the safe harbor provisions, and then under that, whether we choose to go forward with the project, in which case it takes several months of public hearings, and we get to impose conditions that are not appealable in this case. The standards are much, much more lenient toward the town, or we can take a vote to invoke safe harbor and simply say, this is not right for the town, we are not going to go forward with this. The applicant, I believe, can appeal that,
Yes.
because this goes to the, it's now called ELOC, the,
Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities.
you remember that acronym?
It's,
Wow.
we,
EOHLC.
we
Yeah, thank
work
you,
with them a
yes.
lot. And Chair, I just want to draw everyone's attention to this chart on the screen.
Yep.
This is our most current subsidized housing inventory.
Thank you.
And this was the amount you can see, I hope you can see, on the far right, you'll see that our percent subsidized is 10.02. And this is what we were at when the application was filed. So this is what we would use as proof that we're in that safe harbor rule.
Again, making it easier for the town to impose conditions that the applicant cannot appeal, or to simply say no up front. Now, that's our first decision, because by law, and I always found this odd, we only have 15 days from the opening of the public hearing to make that decision. We can come back every night for the next 2 weeks, but I don't think that's going to
No.
work for
No.
our schedules or the applicants or anybody else's. So we have to talk this through carefully right now. I see there are a lot of people here tonight. This is not the usual zoning board meeting. We're boring. We're boring guys. Paul's boring. Brian's boring. We don't usually get a crowd. So I understand there is a lot of public interest.
And I'm gonna make a plug, there's a seat open. So if anybody's interested, please,
There's
There are two seats.
2 seats, please.
If anybody
come
wants
help.
to join the zoning board, the pay's not good.
Yeah, the pay's terrible.
Pays zero, by the way, but we
No.
do always, what was the question?
Can they serve tonight?
No, yeah, sorry, you have to be approved by the selectmen, right? But we would like others to participate in our happy board. In any event, we see you, and we are going to hear from you, so please don't become frustrated while we're talking some technicalities up front that we have to do. And we also, our intent, because we are a careful and thoughtful board, we want to give the applicant his fair hearing as well. We want to hear, and I'm going to propose, first thing we do is ask the applicant and/or his engineer for a very brief walkthrough of what's planned. Are you prepared to do that, sir, or
Yes, sir.
with your engineer or yourself? And Paul, is that good on your,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, we have all the.
Members, is that
I'm
appropriate?
comfortable with that,
Okay.
yes.
And to the audience, we will give you a chance to respond. So please do not feel that we are only listening to the applicant, but for now, I want to give the applicant the floor. Thank you, sir, for coming before us. Could you just walk us through 5 or 10 minutes what you have planned for this parcel, where it is? We can show visuals if you have them, or you can just address us.
Well, first of all, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
And I think it's very important to give you a little bit of a history since I've been coming here and meeting with different boards. I appreciate you giving me a pretty limited time. We had a pretty detailed presentation. But first of all, for record, my name is Rich Sheikh. You may call me Rich or Rashid, whatever you like, what is easier for you. And I'm representing Salmon Shadow Realty Trust. I am a developer myself as well, and a general contractor, an engineer with some business education. And then with me, I have attorney Irfan Nasrullah right here, who used to serve at Hopkinton Board of Selectmen as well. And then I have Bert Gorey, who's the principal engineer at DGT Associate. And then I have Fred Schobel, who's actually the applicant as well as one of the engineers. So basically, first of all, we need to understand the history behind it, that when our trust acquired this 11-acre land, it is actually very uncommon to find a land, especially in Norton, where there is no conservation. So So there's no conservation in this 11-acre parcel. It's a great parcel, it's an R80 zone, and it's basically, if you could just, do you have the presentation, sir?
Who is controlling the board? Are we doing that, Brian?
Well, I have it.
You have it, Paul, the screen.
The presentation.
Who's doing the presentation on this?
Is that you, Brian?
No, it's Paul.
No, I have it.
Okay,
When you say
So I
presentation,
can-
you mean the plan set?
yes.
The PowerPoint, I thought would be,
What,
the PowerPoint which
Oh,
which we email you, if you don't have.
I
it.
didn't receive a PowerPoint.
I,
Flash drive with it on it?
I haven't
that.
seen the PowerPoint either.
Yeah, we didn't, it might have gotten caught up in the spam filter, but I can take it here.
Okay, so for the essence of time, I can just give a little history.
Sure.
You know, without even the presentation. So so first of all, when we are looking at it, then
Go through the files just so you
several,
Yes.
you know, suggestions came through, and, you know, basically the town, yes, the town has 10%,
Get a chair.
but bear in mind, it's 10.02%, and even if you lose one unit, it can make a big difference. So towns are always looking forward, and when we started meeting with the Board of Selectmen, because we believe they are really sort of the custodian of the town, and you gotta really, I started meeting with the different town offices. I had several meetings with different offices. I don't wanna name, but I think I met with every single town office and town officials, looking at, you know, what would be the most appropriate, most cordial, you know, use of this land. And when we, you know, started having discussion, we saw that there are a couple of projects on Mansfield Ave, where basically people build, you know, apartment building with, you know, 30 units per acre density, because it, you know, one of the things,
Okay. That's
one
the
of,
selectmen.
one of the things you get really is the density waiver. And so we didn't go for, you know, 30 units per acre. There are, the other project is 23 units per acre. We said, where are we right now? We are surrounded by very nice, some old, some new, you know, houses. And then at the same time, you know, across the street, there's a multifamily. So we said, what would be the best case scenario? And we thought, okay, because people nowadays, these single family new homes are running, you know, upward of $1.5 million or so, and people can't afford them even in the market units. So we said, okay, can we build something, you know, in the $700,000 range, and then yet give, you know, decent inventory to the town, because a lot of people who have, you know, families, they can't live in apartment buildings.
is good.
If we would have gone with the apartment building, you know, type scenario, we could be looking at it as 300 plus units. But instead of going with, and we have a lot of land because there's no wetland, we could have the parking, but we didn't go through that, and we basically developed the partnership. So please bear in mind, this is not straight 40B. This is 40B subchapter with, you know, the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, and it's called LIP, Local Initiative Program, where you actually set up the partnership with the town up front, so you are not looking at surprises later. So we had several meetings with Board of Selectmen, because they were the, you know, authority to approve this partnership. They actually approved the partnership,
Yeah.
and so this was a co-application between the town and us. We didn't go, and you cannot just apply to LIP on your own. You have to
Understood.
have partnership.
And excuse me for interrupting your train of thought, but in the file, there's a letter from the Board of Selectmen from September 2024 saying that they would support the project in concept.
Yes.
I mean, the letter's in the file, and you can read
Yes,
it.
so they,
So the meetings were last summer and last fall.
correct.
And then the Board of Selectmen just voted last month, though, to go forward? What?
No, sir.
No, not on this project.
I'm
They
sorry.
voted on that date.
So it was back in
Yes,
September?
Right,
Yes,
Okay.
and that was to allow the applicant to file with the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities to move forward on the LIP initiative, which then led to them getting their preliminary eligibility letter.
But what did they vote on? I don't understand.
Yeah, what did they vote on?
What did they vote on in September?
It's
They
a,
voted on this project, sir.
here, the
this
letter
many
is in the
units?
file.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We presented them the entire project. If it's a 40B, then you go to the, you know, 40B, and that's a separate entity. It's not the LIP. There's a different commission. So then you go to 40B and then you come to the ZBA. We didn't want to take that route. We wanted to develop the partnership and understanding, and that's exactly what I said in front of the board, that we don't want to go do something without understanding the town's need and town's requirement. So we built it, and they were very, very appreciative. You can look up those videos. That's a great thing. We are very happy and pleased that you're coming and building this partnership and telling us this project ahead of time. So we developed, we developed this understanding because we had several routes at that time to go after. So we went with this route because we feel that we are providing 18 units, and please understand there was some misunderstanding that these 18 units, the pricing is not set by me, you, or anyone, but there are set, rules by the state, and there has to be an independent person who established the price, and I have in the presentation, the price as Monday, they calculated is $239,000 for the unit, which is the market price of over $700,000.
And that's also in the file. I'm just referencing these things so that you can take a look at these if you wish to.
And it's I would really request that if I could get some time to run through the presentation quickly, because it has all those facts. And I would hope that we go through the process, which it could take several meetings, but really, we should really present the full case, because I read the letter actually this morning, and honestly, it has a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunications. And like, for example, they thought the price of affordable unit will be $350, and it should be $270. It's not even $350, it's not $270, it's $239,000.
I believe you're referring to a submission that the zoning board received in the last couple of days.
Yes, sir.
From a group of abutters.
Yes, sir.
I will get to that in a moment. It's unsigned. It's in the file. I haven't read it. I have offered and will hear from any abutter or townsfolk who wants to speak, but frankly, the board is not inclined to take something that's unsigned and submit it anonymously. So don't feel you should, you can go proceed however you want. Don't feel you have to rebut.
I'm not going to rebut that.
Because I haven't read it.
But I believe it's the most important thing in life I have understood is that you got to clear the communication.
And we've asked you to present to us what the plan would entail, so
Okay.
please go ahead.
So I appreciate that very
Yep.
much. So quickly, I'm just going to go through some slides, and then our engineer will go through some slides. You can see those slides over there and over here as well, so it's the same thing. So basically, our development team is really comprised of, several folks who have done these type of projects, and I'm not gonna, go too detailed. And this basically slide give an overall of what we're gonna talk about, and it has the lighting plan, the landscaping plan, the traffic impact report, the affordability and architecture plan, all those things. Can we get to the next slide, please? I'm gonna try to go quick so I don't take too much of time. So basically, Seven Share Realty Trust, and I'm the trustee, and I have already introduced myself. Our architect is Lux Design, and site civil engineer I already introduced to you, Bert and his team. And then our 40B consultant, who's not here, and there is 40B consultant who does the development side and application side, and then there's 40B marketing consultant, who is the third party who will manage the entire lottery and all that if we go forward with the project. And then we also have MDM Transport, who did a lot of traffic study, and then we have attorney Irfan Nasrullah, who's here, if anybody has any question. Next slide, please. So where are we in the process? We developed this partnership with the town and the Board of Selectmen letter, which, Mr. Chair, thank you for showing that we have that letter signed. And this letter wasn't signed in the first meeting. There were several meetings, and there were public meetings, and this letter was finally signed. And then we have a Pell issued, basically project eligibility letter. And part of the project eligibility letter is that undersigning of the town officials, Board of Selectmen, and that authority to basically sign that. And then we got the letter from Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. Now there were several deliberations, and there were site meetings, and several town officials visited the site, as well as the state visited the site. And then we had, of course, we applied to you, and we appreciate your time. We are, demonstrating the site control. We are also in parallel meeting with the Water and Sewer Commission, even though when you apply for the comprehensive permit, you seek several waivers. But we intend to work with every single board and office, and we have met with every single department head several times throughout this process. And we are continuing to do that. We're gonna listen to everybody, and we're gonna make sure that we build a project which is very sustainable, green, and efficient. And then basically, we have in this discussion the site plan, the stormwater management report, the architecture plan, the lighting plan, the landscaping plan, the traffic study, and also the waiver list in our submission. Next, please. And then, some of the green features of these homes we are building is they will have the Energy Star appliances, the low, floor toilets, energy efficient doors and windows, high efficiency HVAC, air recovery unit, LED lights, hybrid insulation, lowers HUD rating, and in nutshell, every single home we have ever built, even before the stretch code, is energy efficient. So these homes are going to be energy efficient homes. Next slide, please. Now this is really the affordability side, and that's where I think some of the confusion may be. First of all, we are looking at the 80% median income, like Mr. Chair said. And by the way, also very important clarity, 70% of the affordable homes will be qualified for local preference. So local preference, you don't have to do, but we are going to do with a 70% local preference.
I'm sorry to interrupt, meaning that we can designate that townspeople, residents of Norton get first in place, first in line to purchase the units.
Yes, sir. And there is actually a long list of things which really, there are very stringent laws which they have to follow, and this is a third party, not the developer and not the engineer, but it's the third party who manage all that, and that's totally is blind from us. We have no authority on that.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, sir.
So you have condo HOA fees on here, if applicable. Why would it be applicable? Like, why wouldn't it be?
Yes, you're right, sir. That basically, if, for example, in the future, if town accepts the road, then of course, that might go away, but I think in this case, it's going to be applicable because of managing the roads and the common area maintenance. And we believe this should be very reasonable. So we look at that because it's going to be new energy efficient, well-built home, it's gonna be only $200 a month.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then the price they came up as of Monday, this is as of Monday. Originally, when we submitted the LIP application, it was $230. But as the median income changed, as the interest rate changed, as the tax rate changed, it's $239,000. Somebody said it would, $350,000. That might be the case in Shrewsbury and some other places when we are looking in the, we thought it could be that, but reality is it's only $239. And bear in mind, the market unit price is close to $700,000. So this is like almost 1/3 of the market unit price. So yeah, so that's that. Next slide, please. So this is what the community will look like. It is, again, our plan, and we could have gone for the apartment building like the 193 Mansfield Ave or some other apartment building you have recently approved, which have like the density of 30 units per acre. Our density is 6.7 or so per acre, and still have a lot of open space, still have a little green area park over there, the community center and all that kind of stuff. So basically it becomes a very attractive, nice community where people can enjoy their neighborhood. So next slide, please. So this is basically, the interesting thing is that all these homes are going to be same. They are the same size, 2,050 square feet, and there's only a 2-story. You have 2-car garage and living, kitchen, family area there on the first floor, and then you have the 3-bedroom upstairs and 2 bathroom. So it's a typical, it competes with any single-family home, and yet it's almost half the price of a new single-family home. Next slide, please. So yeah, we could talk about that when the time comes. I mean, this is really another amenity to attract people. This is basically a community center, which basically offer certain amenities. At the proper time, we can definitely talk more about it. So this again, from here, I will ask Bert Corey, who's our civil engineer, to talk about the civil engineering aspect quickly, please.
And just an overview would be great, just as to position, that's the access road from Newcomb. And this is the planned layout with the application is filed.
Sounds good, thank you. Okay, so real quickly, just to give you the lay of the land here. It all starts with the roadway entrance off of Newcomb Street. Travels up a narrow portion of the property, as you can see. About 600 to 700 feet in is where it opens up to the main portion of the property. This road continues, and as you can see, it loops back and around on itself. And then there's a small cul-de-sac that's off of the loop road. In total, there's about 2,400 linear feet of roadway here, which certainly exceeds the cul-de-sac or the dead-end minimum of 1,000 feet, according to the subdivision rules and regulations. Just a step back, though, we're not doing any kind of a subdivision here. We're not subdividing any of this land. This is an entire project just in itself on the one particular lot. The roadway is 24 feet wide. Standard paved road with Cape Cod berm around that. As you can see, the houses, and it's 37 of these units, it's 37 duplex units. They're evenly distributed around this roadway. They're spaced about 15 feet apart, as well as the community building in the center of the lot. I don't know if this will work on there or not. So in the center of the property, you can see a large parking area with a community building just to the left. There is a roadway that comes into this. The grading in this is relatively flat. The steepest part of this project actually occurs within the narrow portion of the property. When we were planning out the roadway design, and actually we're following the subdivision rules and regulations for the roadway design. We're meeting all of those design standards. We kept quite close to the existing grade, so we didn't have a lot of cut and fill in that narrow portion, because obviously once we get to the shoulders, we don't have a lot of room to blend back up to the existing grades. So we stayed close to the grades in that one. It's primarily, I'm not sure what the steepest part of that was. I think it was less than 5%, which is actually, that's within parking lot grades. Into the main development, grades are around 1%. That was actually a challenge for us with the stormwater management, because we need to have the stormwater flow to a catch basin. There's several catch basins around here. Because the site is relatively flat, I can't just slope everything down and pick it up on the catch basins. I have to undulate the road in order to gain some ridges. That water would flow down to a valley where we place the catch basins. But again, very, very flat. There's also a sidewalk that runs around the outside of the loop road for safe pedestrian access around the site. Stormwater management, not to go into a great amount of detail here. You're asking me to keep it.
Hold on, please. Please. We got to run the show, and we're going to run the show. I'm asking the applicant to present at a very high level what's included, what's presented. So no stormwater management. Calculations have been done. There are detailed plans in the plan set, correct?
That's correct.
And we get to review those, and we have to talk to the applicant tonight about peer review. In other words, the board gets to hire independent water resource engineer. I'm not sure of the proper name, hydrologist, whoever engineer qualified to review these types of plans is. The applicant funds that for the town, but we hire our third-party consultant to take a look at all the plans. So this is all subject to review. I hear from what you were saying, you want to hear some detail. I'm going to suggest that we don't get into great detail about stormwater management right now. I'm simply looking for an overview of the project at this point.
Okay, well, let me just give you a real quick overview of the stormwater management. The stormwater is collected in catch basins, sent into a piping network, several drain manholes along the line. Ultimately, that water is in, first it's pre-treated in the catch basins. They're deep sub catch basins with oil debris traps, so they get 25% TSS removal right off the bat. We then send it through several water quality units for additional cleaning of that water prior to it going into an infiltration system. The infiltration system is located in the very center of this property, happens to fall onto the best soils that we were able to find out there in this property. Very suitable for infiltration purposes, sandy soils. And once it overflows on several of the like the larger storm events, the 25-year, the 100-year storm events, overflow from the infiltration system will then follow another piping network over to the detention basin, which is located in the upper right-hand page. You can see that the kind of like a square-shaped object right there. That's a detention basin. You've seen that. Those are open basins, usually grass-lined, 4 feet in depth. There's an outlet control structure on there so that as the water comes through on these larger storm events, it's mitigated. Because under the Massachusetts DEP stormwater regulations, we need to match or be below the existing conditions for all of our peak flows. So we'll use that outlet control structure to do that. We also lose a lot of the volume of the stormwater that's generated in this through the infiltration system. I'm not overdoing it with the infiltration system. I'm meeting the Massachusetts stormwater regulations. We don't want to just keep on throwing so much water into the ground. That's it in a nutshell as far as the treatment goes through this stormwater management system. It is going to be peer reviewed. We do peer reviews. I know on that end of things, we take a deep dive into all the nuts and bolts and we look at everything. I would expect that the peer review will do the same thing for us. Ultimately, we will come to a conclusion as to what's working, what's not working, what needs to be done. It's a process. With the utilities, not going into gas and electric, there's water and sewer. The water is off of public water. It comes in off of Newcomb Street. It runs through the property, follows the loop, but then continues out just to the north or just up by the detention basin. The owner of the property has secured an easement to loop that system through that easement and reconnect into the existing water system out in Newland Street. That way there it's a loop system. It follows the water sewer department regulations. The sewer itself will be gravity flow within the development itself. It'll gravity flow to a pump chamber, which again is located up near that detention basin. From there, it'll be pumped through a force main, which will travel through that easement as well out to Newland Street and connect into a force main that's in Newland Street. So there won't be any on-site sewage disposal system here. I can say personally that a couple of years ago when we were doing the soil testing out here, we put over 50 holes into the ground out here to see where all of the better soils were. I would say that more than 3/4 of this land does not have very good soils. We were able to locate the best soils that were on there. We're using them for stormwater, but not for sewage disposal. It's all public. I think I think that could wrap up an overview.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Mr. Chair, may I just add one thing?
Yes.
Very quickly, so we appreciate the town planner, he actually has already,
Could you speak at the microphone? Yeah.
we appreciate the town planner, he actually has already gone out and seek quote for the all kind of peer review and the fees has already been paid. and so that will be underway.
Okay,
as well.
we're going to talk about that. I can ask Paul
Yeah.
about that
And,
status.
and as far as the water and sewer goes, like I said, it's a comprehensive permit, but still, we're talking to them. We're gonna go in front of them and follow their peer review for, you know, for water and sewer.
So let me ask Mr. Di Giuseppe, if I can. This is a process that we've done on all 40Bs that have come before us over the last 15 years. Yeah. And what funds are secured and which peer review firms have we gone to this time?
Sure. So we have received checks from the applicant, and we're using Pat Brennan, who's an engineer we've used many times for under 40Bs as well as special permits. He'll be reviewing the stormwater plan, and he'll be reviewing it against the state's stormwater regulations, which he would do if conservation was involved too. And then we're using Jack Gillen and Associates, who also reviewed the 40Bs to do the traffic study. We wanted to make sure that the traffic report that was provided by the applicant gets peer reviewed by another traffic reviewer to make sure that that's done right. You know, considering the location and the number of units, we want to make sure that that traffic study is accurate.
And under the rules, I know that we can't hire third parties until we have the money in place. So we have some money in place now,
Yes, we received
and we can, as we go along, we can ask applicant, we can keep up with the balance and ask applicant if we feel we need more for any of the.
You do, but you know, the report, the plans were provided to the peer reviewers with the hope that they would do an accurate estimate, so.
So they've done estimates.
Correct, they provided
I didn't
estimates.
know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
they provide estimates of the services, so they review the plans, their portions of it, to see what they think they need to give a full review. And that'll include memos, it's possible they could even attend if we need to. So we have that, so hopefully, you know, these two have worked with a lot in the past, and they're pretty accurate. So hopefully we don't get into a situation where we're having to go back for further amendments.
Understood. I didn't know they had been,
But you could ask.
but
for
I
it.
didn't realize that you had already gone
Yeah,
through that process, so
Right.
it's good.
Actually, town planner went to multiple, and he chose whoever he wanted to choose. He went to more than one.
Well, it's the town, yeah, we have a list of peer reviews that we've used before. Okay,
Moving on to the landscape plan, really quick. I'm not a landscape architect.
you can show us, but I'm really looking for a high-level review. I mean,
Here's a high-level review. I'm not a landscape architect. I'm not going to go into the detail of this plan. When that time comes, if we have to get into the detail of it, there's a lot of residential type plantings that are associated with this.
It's okay, that's a high level.
Yeah.
We can talk later.
what is the
Yeah.
common space in the middle that, next to the clubhouse, I guess? Is that just woodland or grass?
It's
or-
grass.
It's grass.
Grass, okay.
Yeah, it's a grass field that covers the infiltration.
And our thought is to put some benches out there and, you know, also it's like a play area and sitting area, and maybe put some plants there.
Okay.
So I know this might not be the appropriate time to ask, but before I forget, I did notice you're looking to do this in 3
Phases.
phases. How would that work with your loop?
That's a very good question. So basically, the idea here is that you have to build, you know, you have to build the detention basin, because there's a detention basin over on the end, but there's also underground infiltration as well,
Yeah.
Sure.
under the park area. And that's the reason we did underground, as you know, underground is more expensive. And we did that to make it, you know, more available area for people to play, kids to play and all that. So we would have to build this area first to, you know, to bring all the stormwater there. So this portion, you know, of the, plus this portion of the area which you see in the center, even though the units will not be built in the first phase, but the detention basin and infiltration will be all built with the first phase.
Right. I think we've required before that all infrastructure is in
Be-
place,
That's correct.
even if the houses are planned to be built in phases.
Makes sense. That's what I was saying.
Because
Okay.
if later phases don't get built,
Right,
the
I was
town-
wondering about later phases. If you, with a loop, you'd have to clear out all that
No.
to do the loop, and what happens if you don't go to phase 2 or phase 3?
Yeah.
Now you're just there with open land.
I agree with Mr. Chair.
Well, that's something we've required that
Correct.
before, and, right, understood.
No outhouses for the first phase.
Yeah. Or the second or the third. Okay,
Same thing with the lighting plan. Yeah, and then we also have a traffic impact report that was done by MDM.
Can you show us the traffic report? Because we'd like to see that.
Yes, sir.
Do you have a traffic study?
Yeah, we have a traffic study.
If we can look at that.
It's all submitted, sir, it is already
Yeah.
submitted, and basically in the nutshell, that to be the, to do the detailed safety analysis called TIAS, TIAS, you
Yeah.
need to be above, 5% addition of trip generation. And that number is about, 100 trips. So we are under the 5%, limit. So it's actually, it's done by MDM, it's, I don't know, 20 pages or so. But it's again going to have the peer review, and we have submitted the funds for that too.
yeah, so that's something we have to look at closely, because one of my initial questions was, this is all coming onto one access point, and I'm wondering if that's gonna work. Do you know, is there an estimate of how many people would occupy? Total people?
Well, sir, I mean, let's say there are 74 units, and on average, there are 3 people in the household or 4.
Well, that's what I'm asking. What was it built for? 3, 3.4, 3.5? What?
Well, I think the way traffic study is done is that they basically do trip generation. So what would be the trip generation in the peak hours, and what's the trip generation into the off-peak hours? And I think they did 55 and 70, trip in the peak hours. I think I have the whole report. But anyway, they have a long method to do that. So I was hoping that once you do the peer review of the traffic study, we'll actually bring our traffic
Yes.
engineer here. I'm not the traffic engineer. I'm an engineer, but I'm not a traffic engineer.
Understood. Lucas, is that agreeable, or did you want to hear something specific tonight from the applicant?
You do have a detailed report
Yeah.
submitted.
It's in the file. Understand, we haven't studied this yet. We just got this in the last week. We're just asking the preliminary questions that we anticipate we will want to know, given what we've gone through before. Have you met specifically with the fire department as to the road layout and turning radius for fire trucks, emergency vehicles?
Yes, sir, several times. And they have a template they provided us. And matter of fact, in these type of, areas, people ask for waivers and get, do like a 20-foot road, a 22-foot
Right.
road. We are actually following the minor road standards in the subdivision, even though that does not apply here. And we're using the 24 feet plus the 2 feet for the bumps to make 26 feet. And all the turn radius and everything is followed.
So they've given you the advice that they would like followed, and you're saying it fits?
They gave us, it's not the one time we met with them several times
Yes.
because this project evolved. And the very first time we met, they gave us that template.
Yep.
And I provided that template to Bert, but you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I do want to add, inside the site plan package itself, there's a swept analysis plan
Okay.
that shows fire truck maneuverability through that. We would fully expect that there'd be some kind of feedback from the fire department in the form of a letter
Right.
saying that they agree with it.
That's what I was asking, what,
I haven't seen that letter yet.
okay, but we can address that with the fire department. We get to ask
Yes.
the departments for comment, and we will certainly do that.
So, Mr. Chair, I want to clarify. When I say we met with the department heads, those were kind of unofficial meetings. Those are not, at that time, the plans were not fully developed.
I understand.
I just want to
Understood.
stay corrected.
Understood. Other particular questions from the board? How do you want to proceed? Did we see the images of the buildings themselves?
We did
Yep.
that.
Yeah, those
Can
are
you go
Yeah.
back? Bob, you want to go back, please?
I just didn't
Go
register.
back.
Right
Yeah,
there.
right there.
Okay,
That's what it showed.
yeah, there were different shots, I guess, in the,
We have several more shots which we
Yeah.
submitted, but we wanted to keep it simple.
no, that's fine. We're just asking for an introduction right now, and that's, right. The duplex plan is what I was looking at.
Yeah, there is the next, you want to see the inside?
No,
Architectural plan? Okay.
I'm
No,
not
just the
asking
outside.
to. I was just referring to this photo because this is the one that I had seen and focused on. I see, that's the floor plans and the garage plans,
Yep.
that part of it. Okay, and I only printed out a few pages. This is, what was it, 50 pages long or something, so. I'm just trying to ask about what I had set eyes on.
Do we have a plan? Can we ask if they have a plan of all the abutting neighbors showing their?
Go ahead, please.
I'm sorry.
Do you have a drawing in your civil set that shows all the abutting neighbors and how close they are to your development?
Yes, we do.
I saw that.
There's an existing conditions plan.
There is? Is it in the file?
Should be.
I saw it somewhere in the packet.
It's not in the presentation, but it, the original you were showing, it was
The original drawings.
With
Sure,
dimensions?
do you have them, Paul, ready? Yeah.
So while
We
Paul
could take, we could take a look at that right now. That's an appropriate question, so.
Is that what you're looking for?
No, I want it further zoomed out.
I mean, the plan sets are very detailed. It's
No,
40,
they are.
40
They are.
pages or something, and I printed out maybe 8 pages that,
the hard copy of the full plan set.
right, and we have
So
that.
you can
And
imagine how much work is out there.
Paul takes that in his room every night and studies it, so.
It has gone almost a year work of.
Yeah, I understand.
going Back and forth.
I understand. If there is an image that you can show us, there you go.
So, Mr. Chair, while Paul is digging that up, I just want to mention on the lighting plan, we did the lighting plan as well. It's, you know, it's dark skies and all those kind of, you know, housing, you know, but again, when the time comes, we'll talk about every single plan. And again, we are open to further, you know, changes. But we looked at all those things, like I said, we didn't build a big building here, a 3-story building which you could build in here, or apartment building. We went to argument with the current neighborhood, which actually improved the values of the neighborhood and provide more. Well, you know, I have built neighborhood where people felt that way.
Paul,
But
we
then
were on
again,
it.
you know, when newer neighborhood
That-
come, the rest of the properties go up.
Hold on,
please, hold on.
We will.
We'll get to you.
We're
guys.
trying to ask the preliminaries here.
Yeah, we're just getting an overview right now.
Paul, that's, I think that's what you were asking for, showing the setting in the neighborhood?
No, I want to see the drawing where it shows the abutting lots,
Okay, I thought that was that photo, the aerial
so
thing.
how it impedes on the neighborhood.
So we have the rear setback, basically, we're asking for 25, but we actually have, every building is about 35 feet away from, you know, which basically, without even the waiver, the maximum, the setback you ask for is 35 feet. We have every building 35 feet away. Fred, am I correct?
I think he's referring to this one. I think it's.
You're trying to see it set in the neighborhood, Lucas?
Yeah, I just want to see how the lots in the other houses.
It's figure 2 on the preliminary site plan, Paul.
But that is.
But I think that's what he's referring to on
That's
the
the
20.
that's the traffic study.
I think it is on the traffic study, 100%. But I think that's what you were. I think that's the only thing I see that
I want
has
to see
that.
it.
Yeah.
I want to see overall impact.
Well, the aerial shows where it is in the neighborhood.
I don't think.
Like what I'm trying to see is the shrubbery, the house distances, just the net effect.
Do you have a photo or a plan set showing the overall neighborhood where
Yeah,
it's,
the locus point, why don't we use the locus point?
well,
Right
If
here.
not, then I mean,
But isn't this,
is that what you're referring to, Lucas? Asking about?
No, he wants to see where your area with
with the abutters
with the
houses,
abutters and houses, like almost an area view.
an area view. Typically, it's included at for projects of this size.
Don't know where it is.
but isn't this, can you see this?
Yeah, we're looking on the sheet index to see if it was listed in the sheet index, but it's not, so
mean,
it would be a
that's-
separate.
Well, there's an
That's
aerial,
about.
there's
Can
an
you
aerial
go,
photo.
Paul? Can you go to?
No, that's all right. If we get further with the request,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I don't know who asked that question, but we're looking.
Chair, I'm okay. Chair, I'll just review it afterwards.
There's an aerial view in the plan set that I saw. I don't know if that's what you're asking about, but it seems to show the setting within the locus.
Do you remember,
Do you wanna put
What?
do you remember when we did the Campanelli application with the ice cream trucks? And we saw all the
Yeah,
lots
Yeah.
abutting, and then when we did the one, Eastbrook or whatever it was called, that one, we saw all the,
okay.
we saw all the abutting lots, and we saw the distances, so we could kind of see, and then we saw the shrubbery and how it affects the neighbors. That's sort of what I'm looking for, but I don't think they have it. I think they're just too zoomed in
Yeah,
for what I'm looking
yeah.
for.
Okay,
So, it can be requested.
we can go on. We can
We
go
can go
on
on.
from here, Paul.
Yeah, we can definitely. Yeah, understand. But basically, you know, most 40B applicants ask for the waiver on the site setback, and, you know, that's really the nature of the beast.
Understood. We know you're within the boundary
Yeah.
and those
No, but we are about
setbacks.
35 feet away from.
But what Lucas was asking for is something showing the
Yes, sir.
project within the neighborhood
Yes.
and the abutting houses.
Yes, sir.
Maybe it's there, maybe we don't have that yet. I don't know if you,
There is an existing conditions plan, we just can't locate it on there.
okay,
Okay.
okay. Let's go on to something else then.
So this
What is it the,
That's what I asked my attorney.
If it's not in the packet, we will provide.
yes, okay, thank you.
Training will be coming, whatever you want. We're here to work with the town.
Thank you. Thank you. So members, we get to say where we are and what we want to do. Are there other preliminaries that you would want to ask? Are there other preliminaries that you would like to ask the applicant right now? We can open it to some questions from the public. I was trying to get a preliminary view, and we got a preliminary view of what it's a high level, 30,000 feet view of what the project entails. Jim, you're pointing to the letter?
Yeah, Paul, what weight, this is really it's probably gonna be a bad question, but what weight do we have to give this select board letter? Because I don't think I've ever had to since I've been on the board, have never gotten a letter like this.
You wouldn't have, because before, we were below 10%.
It was
Okay.
it was
So-
basically automatic.
The letter, that letter that was issued back in October was just the select board saying they were okay with the applicant moving forward as a friendly 40B.
Okay.
So that's all that's saying. It doesn't put any onus on you to go one way or the other with it. It's not an approval, it's just saying we're okay with this proceeding.
Okay.
So this is a letter dated September 27 of '24. At this time, do you know, were we at the 10.02%?
We should have been.
But did
Nothing
we
had
know it?
changed.
Did we know it at the time?
Well, we had to, because they wouldn't have had to have filed for this letter had we been below
Yeah.
10%.
Okay.
We'd been at 10%. I came back a year ago, we were over 10.
Okay,
I know, yeah, when we approved that by the old Roach Brothers, I think that
Right.
put us over.
They did.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
that building, yeah.
Yeah, that
The
building
link-
was on the
links.
street.
Links.
Right.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
with all due respect, sir, I think it's more of a legal question than Paul's question. I mean, we're putting, Paul definitely knows, and also Paul left, and when he came, we had a lot of deliberation with the Board of Selectmen, when, Paul was not around, and he definitely picked up, and he's always, on top of the things. But I think that, because we went back and forth, and we wanted to look for a path forward, which, in my humble opinion, this is a partnership, and this application is co-signed by us and by the town as it's called local initiative program, okay?
Okay.
I think this question, if you need to ask, I don't know the real answer, but I think this question is really more of a legal question than a planning question.
Well-
And real quick, I think you had brought up something, the cluster.
On
The what?
the density,
Yeah.
but that was just a density calculation.
Lucas, try to speak.
Sorry.
It was a density calculation,
Okay.
just how many units are allowed.
My
That's
bad.
all.
Forget it. Disregard.
Okay. So the number of people per unit is imprecise, we don't know.
Right.
But 74 units are in the application, so whether that's 2 or 3 or 3.5 people per unit, it's a couple hundred to maybe 250, 260. Not all of them drivers, but there are parking lot regulations active in town as to how many spaces have to be provided. That's part of what we look at and part of what we ask the peer review engineer to look at as well. There's also a list of waivers that the applicant has asked for from the town. In other words, where the applicant feels the town should waive certain restrictions or requirements. We have that list. It's all part of the public file, so I urge anybody interested to take a look at those.
And for everybody,
Yes?
for everybody's benefit, most of these waivers are relating with that this is a comprehensive permit and this board is the boss. Instead of, for example, if this was a subdivision, then you go to the planning board, you
Right.
go to a different board. So most of our waivers, even in these application, you ask for a lot more waivers, and I've seen other applications. We are asking a lot less waivers in that regard.
Okay.
These waivers are more ceremonial, so to speak, so that we don't have to go to different boards, because in the comprehensive permit, you basically don't really do that.
Yeah, well, we don't have to describe the waivers, whether they're major or minor. I'm just pointing out for those in attendance, the process.
And we'll
But
talk
they're
about
all-
every single one.
Yeah, and they're all part of the record, and we get to decide on all of those. So the public input and the input from other town departments, and Paul, our planner, is very important. And Brian is the umpire, Brian is the center of the hub, and Brian gets all the communications from all the departments and passes them along. So at this time, do the members want to ask any other particular questions, or would you like to open it to public question, public comment, or is there a motion to talk about the safe harbor and how to proceed? It's up to us and open for discussion.
So
Up to the mic.
So I feel like we should maybe vote on the safe harbor before we open it up. Because
Oh.
that might influence where we go. Or
Okay,
that's how I feel. I don't know how you guys feel.
Lucas?
I wish I reviewed this a little bit before the meeting. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a lot here, and there's a lot to review going forward.
I would like to open it to the public, but I just
Well, we can open it
want
to
a shouting
the,
match.
no, I agree, but I think we see that there are a lot of concerns here.
Oh, no, there is. And
I'd be in favor of giving it some time tonight, just for preliminary questions or
Yeah.
comments. Questions are actually more helpful, believe it or not, than comments. Because we understand that there are concerns, but if you want to comment, go ahead and comment. This has to be civil, and this has to be orderly, so they have to come, your questions and comments have to come through the board. And so we recognize one question or one comment at a time. We will ask you to introduce yourself just for the record as to who you are, what street you live on. And a question is actually much more valuable to us than a comment, but we're not going to get through all the questions or comments in one night either, but we want to hear from you. I see Mr. Kimball is rushing to the front, pushing people out of the, no, I'm joking. Mr. Kimball has been involved with housing, including affordable housing matters in town for a long time. I'm going to take the opportunity to recognize Bob Kimball first of all, thank the applicant for the introduction, and Mr. Kimball.
How many years have we been doing this, Mr. Noel? A long time.
Let's not ask. I'm not as old as I would be if I answered that question. Yeah, okay.
So, just to be clear on a few things, the letter from the Board of Select Board, that was developed last summer. There's a new select board now, there's 2 additional members, I being one of them. And I would assure you that I never would have voted for this. I also believe that even though the letter was sent, it's up to the ZBA as to what the final decisions are.
Of course.
The letter was just a letter of support. That's all it is. It doesn't mean it should sway you one way or the other. When it comes to affordable housing in Norton, we've had a long road. And Mansfield Ave, the links they call it in Mansfield Ave, was our last friendly 40B that I was on the board 6 years ago that we voted for. And the reason we voted for it was because we wanted to get it over 10%. In the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, there are 351 communities, cities and towns. 57 have complied. We are one. We can say no, and we should say no.
Mr. Kimball, can I ask you, I'm not stopping you or interrupting you, don't mean to interrupt you. Could we hear from the selectmen again as if this goes forward as
Oh,
to
most definitely.
present position from the
Oh, yes.
board? I understand this is a preliminary letter, it was from last September and things have changed since then.
Right.
And we're not married to the letter, but if the select board has a different position, that would be helpful to know on the record as well. Appreciate your comments and please go ahead.
So under 40B, the zoning board of appeals, which you guys, can deny a chapter 40B request, also known as 40B comprehensive permit, primarily when a municipality has reached a safe harbor threshold, or if the proposed project is deemed inconsistent with local needs. Safe harbor allows a municipality greater discretion in handling 40B applications when it's met certain housing production goals. Safe harbor, by demonstrating that at least 10% of the housing stock, or 1.5% of land area is devoted to qualified affordable housing. We are at 10.01. Now, for years, Mr.
Noel.
O'Malley and I have gone back and forth on this. We were always under 10%. Well, here we are, folks. I don't care if it's 10.00, 10.01, 02, or 20. We are in compliance. We should not and cannot continue to build any additional Chapter 40B housings that fall under the umbrella that claim to be affordable, but they're not. This actually seems to be somewhat affordable, but in most cases, you look at the lengths of Mansfield Avenue, totally unaffordable for anybody to move into that particular facility. In addition to this one, that's not being counted today, there are two other 40Bs that were approved many, many years ago when I had hair, right?
Yeah, well, I did too.
Arrowhead Village on North Washington Street was considered at one point. Strawberry Fields, Strawberry Fields, I'm sorry, is on South Worcester Street, has 0 counted toward our 40B right now. It has been approved. Understand, it has been approved. It just hasn't been built.
Well, I think those are off the list now too. I mean,
Now, the present list, this is a brand new list?
Yeah.
but they're not eligible anymore. They expired, I believe.
The state understands now and
Okay.
communicates to them that their Strawberry Fields now was replaced. There was a special permit that's been approved
Right.
called Wading River Estates.
That's not gonna come back, in other words, because it expired. But I have a question, just theoretical question. The danger, obviously, as you know, is that we go below 10 again because we build 50 houses somewhere and suddenly the total number is higher, so, oops, we're 9.98% the next time the survey comes out.
Well, there are 2 additional housing projects that are being considered right now.
Go ahead.
I believe you're in the process of looking at them. And those will definitely put us away with 10% when they're built. So we've already approved them. They've already been done. You've got one on 195 Mansfield Avenue.
Yes, that's pending as
And
far
you've
as,
got another 235 Mansfield Avenue.
oh, that's the pending.
253.
253.
Yes.
That's the commercial facility.
Yep.
Yes.
That's gonna probably look like the one behind McDonald's by the time they're done with it. So those have been approved, those still are not counting toward that 10%.
Right.
And by the way, a few years ago, I don't know if Paul was involved with it or not, a few years ago, we set up a bylaw where if a builder comes into town to buy and builds 5 homes, one has to be affordable. And the reason we did that was because we wanted to make sure that we never fell below that percentage. Now, if they build 3 houses, it doesn't really count. But in the case of 18 West Main Street, which right now is being proposed as 18 condos, 3 of those will be considered affordable. And I know that because I've talked to the developer, and he has agreed to do that. So that's just an example of how you can stay above that 10% threshold.
So you're saying there are already mechanisms active that should keep us above the 10? Okay.
And as you and I have listened to for many years, I think the last time we had a conversation was about 9.4%. And of course, you guys get railroaded. You know, you have to make a decision based on what's best in the interest of yourself and the developer and the town. The problem is that when you've got developers who spend a lot of money and time, which they've already done, it's kind of hard to convince Mass Housing that it's probably not a good idea to build it. So that puts us on a pretty rocky road to trying to make sure we address this issue. But I can assure you that if you need another letter from the board, I don't know how it'll come out, but I will make arrangements to make sure that we do get another.
That's why I asked, I was asking Paul about this letter having been 8 months ago or 7 months ago, you know, what's happened between then and now, and as you said, well, there's a new board.
There's two new members.
Yep. So we'd be interested in an update as to how the select board feels about this particular project. I have a question, technical question
Well,
as
I
well.
appreciate that before you get up there. So
Go ahead.
again, that letter was only a letter of support. It doesn't mean.
I understand.
You guys are the ones that are gonna take the bullets on it.
Yep.
You know, you guys are the ones that are gonna have to deal with it. So, you know, it was nice of them to do that, and they probably had good intentions when they did it. But we don't have to do it. So go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, not at all. My question was a technical one, Bob or Paul. Island Brook, of course, is now an approved plan.
Yeah.
Not built yet. Is that in the 10.02 or?
It isn't.
Because not until they're actually constructed, right?
Until they start pulling building permits. I tried to get them on.
Yeah.
As soon as you issued it, the state said,
Right.
because of the legal issues with Island Brook, they can't, but once Ed starts getting building permits for it, then we can request to add them.
That'll raise the ratio in our favor as well.
I don't remember
Yes.
Island Brook having, it has a 40B?
Oh, yeah, that's
That was a 40B.
Yeah.
It was a 40B, all right.
first before us in 2013.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And it spent 10 years in litigation because of the Department of Environmental Protection, I think.
Right.
And then came back to us
Gotcha.
a year ago. Yeah,
Gotcha,
that's
gotcha.
40B, which we
Yep.
just did a month,
Yeah, we
2
just-
months.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your listening to me, and I would hope and consider that you would say no, because we have every right for the first time in my 32 years in public service, that we can actually sit here and say no. So it's encourage you to do it.
Hold on 1 second. One more question, and this is helpful and valuable to have your experience and years of experience on the board and involvement in town. What about the idea that under safe harbor, if we choose to proceed with the hearings, it's several months of hearings, as you know, as I believe the applicant understands as well, we get to impose more favorable conditions and not be questioned on that. Isn't that a valuable thing potentially for the town? In other words, to have a project, and maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I realize that's a separate question, but to have a project over which we have more input and it's
You're
not
going to have-
appealable?
You're gonna have that anyway. You have a 15 days to deny or approve, right? You have 15 days to deny.
Yeah.
If it's denied, it goes to court. If the courts, in their determination, figure that there's standing for the developer to come back, they will remand it back to the ZBA.
Yeah.
Right,
And
that
at
just
that
happened with
point-
Island Brook.
Right, exactly.
Well,
Which took
that's
10
true.
years. So what happens then is, you guys still have the right to put conditions in place and all that. When the Board of Selectmen at the time approved the links on Mansfield Ave, we asked for additional affordable housing. We asked for other conditions also. We ourselves asked for it.
Yeah.
This board did not. So I'm hoping that you will exercise your right to deny, allow the court system, if they want to go that far, to go through the process, and then let them come, if they do get that far, have them come back. You still have every right and every ability.
We're
to
still-
put conditions and anything.
We're
you
still
want
in the safe
budget.
harbor at that point.
Of course you are.
Right. Thank you for clarifying that. It actually goes to the office, the ELOHC.
It's a new one, I'm not aware
Yeah,
of.
that office actually has to approve our denial under safe harbor, or our decision under safe harbor. Then the applicant can appeal that to the court, as I understand it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So what happens also, and just, I want others to be able to speak, but the Board of Selectmen was approached about 3 months ago prior to me getting elected by another developer who wants to put something on North Washington Street, in the old, North Washington exit, where the old rodeo used to be. They came and asked for a friendly 40B. And the select board did not take a position, they took it under advisement. And at the last meeting, I encouraged the board to send a letter stating again that we're at 10.01%. And thank you, but no thank you on the friendly 40B. So that has to go forward. And what I'm concerned about is when the developer spends as much money as these guys have, and then they go to housing. Housing gonna look at it and say, wow, they've spent the last 8 months working on this. In the case of North Washington Street, I wanna nip it now so they're not spending a lot of money on it.
He almost giving them false hope.
Exactly, and it's not really right for them,
No.
either. It's not fair, so, but anyway, thank you, now let's.
Thank you, Mr. Kimball. The attorney. And now, this is the attorney for the applicant. Go right ahead. You wanted to respond to a couple points?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through the board. I think it's really important here to note, yes, you are at the safe harbor. It is not required. We can't force this upon you. We're not looking to force anything upon you. We're looking to work collaboratively with the town. That's why we're here. So we can, we want to hear the input. And with regard to the last comment, I guess what is unclear to me, is it just no to any affordable housing? Or is it no to this specific project? And if it's no to this specific project, what is it that we can do? What are you looking for? We are happy to work with you. That's why we're here. We want to work with the town. Show us what your objections are, and we can address them.
Hold on, please.
Hold on.
Be fair, please. We've asked the attorney to comment.
Yes, but everything goes through the board. All the comments and everything goes through the board, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Now, somebody else, yes, could you state your name and your address just for the record so we know who you are?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Nicholas Ferguson. I'm a resident here in Norton at 104 Newcomb Street. Like many residents, I took the time to review the application and some of the materials that have been circulating. Let me be clear from the start. I'm not here to oppose all development on this site or even to disrupt the process. I fully respect the work that's gone into this proposal and the role that the board plays in weighing its merits. That said, there are a few specific items that I believe are worth a closer look as you continue your review. One, the traffic study itself estimates close to 700 new trips per day down Newcomb Street, an increase of almost 36%. And that's not just cars driving down the street, though. That's cars turning in and out of crossing lanes of traffic, increasing congestion. The proposed road would terminate directly across from a set of townhouses, meaning direct light pollution into several residences' living rooms every night. This is not responsible design, and it's inconsistent with the Norton's 2021 master plan, which explicitly calls for, quote, supporting moderate density development that blends with existing neighborhoods, and, quote, ensuring that new growth does not overburden roads, infrastructure, or the character of existing residential areas. This proposal does not align with that. Two, while I'm not a stormwater engineer, far from it, the report submitted appears to rely heavily on favorable soil assumptions and engineered drainage systems, but it doesn't include any seasonal groundwater data or detailed overflow analysis. Even as a layperson, that stood out to me, and those emissions could carry real consequences for abutters and downstream areas. I've also heard that this property may have previously failed percolation testing, though I want to be careful not to rely on hearsay. I simply raise it and hope that this board can review and clarify, as it seems well within your area of oversight. 3, Online, the community building is described as a commercial complex. That raises a reasonable question about whether such use is appropriate within a residential zone. More specifically, it's unclear how a business, say a dentist office, could remain financially viable while serving a close population of just 74 households. If the services are truly intended for residents only, the business model may not be practical. If not, the impact on traffic, zoning, and neighborhood character should be assessed accordingly. For, as has already been previously stated, Norton currently has 10.02 or 01 affordable housing stock, putting us in the safe harbor. I understand the town's officials may be concerned about how close to that figure we are, and rightfully so. But approving this project would add just 18 affordable units, increasing the percentage to under 0.2%. I believe it's 1.17 or something like that. It's a minimal gain. When you weigh that against the impact of 74 total units abutting 22 homes with traffic, density, stormwater runoff, and neighborhood infrastructure, the trade-off seems unbalanced. From what I've gathered, there appear to be clear actionable strategies that Norton could pursue to maintain safe harbor if needed, as such as, have we finalized a housing production plan yet? I know it's been in process for.
No, we've never.
All right, so if we finalize that, and giving us good faith intention, that will allow us temporary safe harbor status. And again, that's if we were to dip below the 10%. The Norton Links, as was previously talked about, that was an apartment complex that added 100 units. 25% of them were marked as affordable, which that counts as 80% or under of the area median income of the area. With that said, because of that, in an apartment complex, all 100 units calculated into the percentage. So I believe Mr. Kimball just mentioned the fact that there are some other proposals on the board that are apartment buildings. You added just 100 more units to our housing stock, another similar Norton Links, that would bump up our percentage to 11.3% at the least, which again would give us much more breathing room in giving the town much more control in of itself to actually have control of these projects and to deny ones that don't fit. Finally, there's a precedent. In Medfield, the developer came in with an outsized, friendly 40B proposal. The ZBA at that time denied it. And after community and the board feedback, the same developer returned with a much smaller revised proposal that was about 20% of the original size, which was ultimately approved. This isn't about saying, it's about saying no for now until the proposal actually fits the character of the neighborhood. A reduced footprint could even preserve more of the existing wooded buffer behind the 22 homes that this project would abut, so that, from many backyards, you wouldn't even know it's there. That kind of thoughtful, modest plan could even earn community support and ultimately your approval. Now, I recognize that the developer has likely invested significant time and resources into this proposal. I'm not here to oppose housing altogether, but this particular plan, at this scale, in this location, does not reflect smart growth. As we saw in Medfield, a denied proposal can lead to a better one. I trust in this board's judgment and believe you have real opportunity here, not to reject progress, but to guide it towards a version that better fits the needs and character of our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very well said. Whenever he needs to.
Go ahead, sir. What, your name and address, please?
Mark Sweeney, 14 Laura Lane.
Thank you. Go ahead.
If you want to take a look at what that neighborhood would look like, go to, there's a subdivision called Goldenwood off of Maple Street in Norton. It has about 43, 44 houses right now. That's a 40B subdivision. You're going to basically double it and have a circle like that. So if you want to just take a look at what that neighborhood would look like, that's what you're getting into. My question is, why are we even here? We're above the 10%. Why are we here? Because now the developer can, if you want to call it, I'm going to use the word skimp on certain things, such as he's looking for waivers on setbacks, sidewalks, road width, from a 26-foot roadway to a 24, from, a regular road to a minor road. All kinds of things like that. Do you have the list, Paul?
Here we go.
We've got, yeah. Oh,
Okay, so right there, these are all the things that the developer is trying to get away with not doing. See all the setbacks right there? He doesn't have to, you're gonna have all these duplexes are gonna be right on top of each other. Again, look at Goldenwood Drive and see what it looks like.
to be clear, the developer is asking us
No,
to approve the waivers.
But, right, I understand
So
that.
it's-
And no, this
yeah.
should be
Got it.
denied right away, we're at 10%. He wants to build on that lot, make him go through the planning board, the normal way. And the planning board will say, all right, here's the, are there more waivers than that, Paul?
Yeah.
There are 2 pages of waivers.
Okay, so parking requirements, there's gonna be curbing, all kinds of things that they're gonna try to not put in there. And that's what you do with the 40B, you don't have a clean list or anything like that?
It's in the record, but
Okay, so,
whether we have it on the ready, I'm not
so
sure.
that's what a lot of developers are doing, they'll go for the 40B.
I don't have it.
And that's a way for them to basically say, we don't have to do this, and this. But if you have to go through the
Here it is.
planning board, yes, you do have to put in, something like, right now, it's Cape Cod berm, correct? That's what you're looking at? That's just tar. You know what I'm talking about? That's just tar curbing. My neighborhood, it's been there for 30 years, I've got sloped granite curbing, which looks better, very expensive, but that's what the planning board, thank you, the planning board requirements looks for is sloped granite curbing, which lasts forever. Plowing wise, Cape Cod berm, you could lose it in a one winter, something like that. Now, it's not just against the developers here, we're not trying to say this, but the town is changing. We just approved 750 new apartments, okay? So things have changed. Now that the MBTA came in before you, your timing, sorry, but your timing is just, you're on the wrong side of it. Because now we've got 750 apartments that'll probably come through with the MBTA votes. And that again, I'm gonna bring it up and repeat myself 1,000 times. Now we're talking traffic. The gentleman here talked about traffic through the town, all right? Schools, okay? Police and fire, water, everything that we're having a problem with, this will just compound it. And it won't just be this development, it's the other 2 that the planning board's looking at that might be 40B, that people are gonna be, like myself, are gonna be in opposition to.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Armand Mikilza, 44 Newland Street.
Didn't hear, sorry.
Armand Mikilza, 44 Newland Street.
Thank you.
I'm going to echo a lot of the same concerns that the 2 gentlemen before me mentioned. Mostly the waivers from a bylaw standpoint. My main concern is there's a variance being sought for the frontage, 150 foot. He's only got 85.7. But then in the actual complex, he fails to meet that 150 foot with all the new buildings that are being constructed. And in addition, the side yards, I think there's a 35-foot setback that isn't being met from the side yard standpoint. And then just the overall area, just the density. I mean, my main concern, I think it's been raised before, the public services in the town, the schools, the fire, the police. Is the tax revenue going to offset being able to right-size those things in the town so that we're not being burdened? I had general concerns. I think it's probably into the engineering, just discussion with the neighbors, but tapping into that forced main for the plumbing, is that even capable? That's a question that someone needs to answer.
Yep, I can tell you that we do address with the water department their requirements, and they've been very helpful in the past projects, so that's on the list, but
Okay.
thank you.
Yep. I had a general traffic concern. I don't know if a study was done for Newland Street, but everyone exiting from Newcomb is going to go down Newland Street over to 123. There was an accident there maybe a couple months ago. Power was knocked out for the entire night. That high traffic is going to lead to more accidents. There's no sidewalks. The other thing that I saw in the community building, there's a space called rental office. I had no idea what that was. I assumed that the whole complex was going to be a rental unit, but maybe that's negated at this point. But that was another concern. I just don't know what this community house is going to entail. So.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I I understand we have a large crowd here. I think a majority of them are probably gonna say the same things over and over. I would like to move for a vote, if possible, and close the public hearing. And I apologize for you being already at the podium.
Well, let me,
Since I'm the last person, can I?
first of all, hold up. First of all, I think not to close the public
Well,
hearing, but for tonight.
For tonight.
Prior to a vote or discussion of the board.
Correct.
Yeah, I got you. I just wanted to clarify. I'm going to, this woman is the last in line.
Sure, that's fine.
And so
But
I will do
appreciate-
my best not to repeat all of the other valid
Yep.
points, and I'm gonna honor your request to make my presentation a question. Okay?
Sure.
My name is Melanie Toll. I live on 6 Haskell Street, which is just one street removed from this development. And my concern specifically is around water. And so, and not so much stormwater, that is a concern as well, but I'm just talking about drinking water, okay? We're all on one well there that's on Newland Street. Now, you have already approved a 40B development further up on Newland Street. As far as I know, there's a 50-acre parcel on the right-hand side that abuts the river that you approved, I don't know what it's called, Turtle Crossing
Oh.
or something like that.
That's expired.
That's
too.
also
Yeah,
expired.
Yeah.
And you're about to allow a nursing home to be built on Newland Street. That's going where the Daggett, that's part of the Daggett Crandall development, which is why they sold the land to the developer. And so, and you have approved Norton Glen for hundreds of high-density units there. And so,
It's not this board,
no,
you're talking about the
I'm giving
actions,
backdrop to get to my question.
you're talking about the town having approved certain things.
Yep, and so
Okay.
this is all in the same area, all in the same drinking water well. And then you're gonna add 74 high-density units in addition to all that already is happening. Our water's already contaminated. We're regularly getting notifications from the water department about that well and the water being contaminated. Okay, so how are you going to be able, how is the developer going to be able to mitigate the drinking water issues in an area that already has drinking water issues? That's my question.
Okay. I can't, thank you. I don't have a direct answer to that, except that the water department is consulted as to capacity issues, which is, I think, what you're getting at, capacity of the town water and sewer, of course. Paul?
Yeah, and the only thing I have
Well-
so the other thing I just wanted to add to that is the Water and Sewer Commission will be taking this up. My understanding is it will be later this month. They haven't set the date yet, but please keep a lookout for the Water and Sewer Commission agenda. It'll probably be toward mid to late June when they have that meeting for this project. And they'll look at water and sewer and,
Okay.
and the impacts associated with it.
Thank you, thank you. Go ahead.
I'd like to move for a vote on the safe harbor.
Okay.
Gentleman had his hand up.
Oh,
Gentleman had his hand up.
okay. Paul is,
It's up to you.
okay.
You're the chair.
I'm going to ask you to be very brief. What is your name and,
One line thing. My name is Ron Adanya, I'm on Renwick Drive.
okay,
We're talking about an area that's densely treed, that's purifying the air that we live in. You want to cut down all the trees on probably 12 acres of land. Is that a consideration you've got to?
okay, thank you. I think we have to let
Yeah,
the
you have
applicant.
to, yeah, you can let,
Sir, I'm going to ask the applicant, was there something in particular to respond to? And
Thank you very much. I understand it's a long night, but there are certain things we have to, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're going to treat each other as all human beings, and I appreciate your patience and time, and this is what happens in these type of meetings. So, Mr. Chair, and also we thank your service because, it's a volunteer service, I understand. But anyway, the thing is, there are few things which are absolutely not facts, and it's very important to know the facts. For example, the traffic has come along, discussion here, and I didn't want to go in detail because you wanted the overall. So I just asked our, chief traffic engineer before coming in here, and he basically said this, it doesn't get better than that, that basically we don't even have a 5% addition, trip generation, and I'm gonna talk just quickly numbers, that 5% trip generation according to the state laws is required if you add 100 cars per hour. And this is well below 100 cars per hour, okay? And these are just the facts. I mean, I don't make the rules, you don't make those rules, those are the state highway rules, okay? Then also, when we did that, and so there's gonna be peer review, and then basically you can look at the peer review as well. And then we didn't have to go all the way to Newland Street, but we actually did the study in the Newland Street as well, and you can look at the report, it's already submitted.
In the traffic report?
In the traffic report.
Okay.
And it's all there. And then there are just a couple of facts I just wanted to state so that, you know that what we have gone through. The other thing was that, before it's too late, sir, I came here more than a year ago, and I had several meetings with several, offices, and then also Board of Selectmen, looking for the right way so we don't have to have this kind, and they were very grateful, and I would appreciate before making a decision, you look at those videos because they're gonna come as a testimony at the end of the day, because what was said in those reports, what was said in those videos, that they were thanking us of bringing this upfront because of the way, because there is not much, apartment it's different, but housing is different. People can't afford $1.5 million single family homes, and basically these are, market rate is around over $700,000, and the affordable rate is $236,000. You can't even buy a piece of land for $236,000, which we're gonna develop and build a brand new 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom, 2-car garage home. So there are certain other facts I think the board needs to consider, and then maybe need to talk to your attorney, because it's lit, it's not a plain 40B. That so maybe we can continue and then understand those facts before we really understand the emotions and all that. There was just quickly last comment that there was another development where people were saying, but since we start building home, all the other neighborhood, because the type of home, energy efficient home we build and all those things, and we actually, the company name is Value Max, and we maximize their value, we increase their neighborhood as well. So yes, sometimes you look at in the tunnel and you don't look at the bigger picture. I really hope that we carefully look at the entire bigger picture and see that how it's going to increase the value of the neighborhood, and also the community center. Again, nothing is concrete, and the sidewalks are there, and we are not asking waiver on the width of the road. Matter of fact, we're following that standard, which we don't need to follow. We have 25 feet setback and 30. We have 35 feet setback. Yes, we like to ask, like I said, the ceremonial waiver, which will be discussed, which you don't have to grant, and we have to evaluate and see. So this site is asking as minimum, and we will go after one after one after one after. The road required like 50 feet frontage, and we have 65, 68 feet frontage. There are subdivision rules we are talking about, and that's the reason we asked the waiver. Yeah, there are a lot of details which we have to go through in each step, whether that's a traffic study, whether that is, ZBA or planning rules or whatever. So, we hope that we discuss and review those things in details, and, we continue this discussion before we really make a hasty decision and get into, this unnecessary fight. We are here to work with you and see what is best for everybody.
Thank you. We're not fighting you. So, we just for clarification, these are sale units. They're not rental units.
Yes, sir. I apologize. It does say that in one of that is rent. It should say sales office instead of rental office, and I apologize for that. These are all those things will get kicked out in the subsequent plans. There is no rental unit. They are sales unit. And once again, the price for affordable unit is $239,000, not $350,000.
Thank you.
You can't even buy a lot like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Jim. Jim. I know, but do you want to proceed or take the vote?
Yeah,
Because he got to come back up.
I know. Listen, hold on 1 second. I'm gonna make a motion to move to safe harbor and to deny and not move forward with this application.
So hold on 1 second. Let me get my papers shuffled. Yeah, I've got it. I've got part of it here. There's a second page from town council.
Oh,
I have it here printed out. It's just the procedure. It has red, it has blue and yellow. Nope, that was for the other project. I have it in my email. Stand by. Nope.
right there.
Thank you, that's it. I need a person to organize my papers. There's a motion pending to declare safe harbor. I'm not sure of the terminology. We are in safe harbor as far as I know because we're above 10%. But town council had given some guidance as to the choices ahead. And Paul, again, please correct me if you understand differently. But the motion is to take a vote as to whether we declare safe harbor, and as I understand it, Mr. Denori, to deny the application now,
Correct.
to notify the applicant within 15 days, and then it goes to the Office of Housing, Economic, whatever it is called now. And they make I'm sorry, it's the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities. That's a nice name. They make a determination either supporting our decision or disagreeing with our decision, and then it's open for whatever appeal to whatever court applies. At least that's my understanding. And your motion is to close, for now, the public hearing.
Yep.
And to take a vote to deny the application because we are in the safe harbor zone above 10%.
Yes.
Anything can happen after this. Mr. Kimball said, well, if the office says no, it comes back to us anyway, and then we can impose conditions. My only hesitation on this is our first chance to consider a 40B and impose conditions. I think we could say to the applicant, not 74, 48, something like that. I'm not asking for guidance. I'm discussing with my fellow board member. He doesn't get paid either. We don't. You understand what I'm saying?
I agree.
I'm trying to talk this through so that we can make the best informed decision. But go ahead.
I agree that we've never been in this position. A couple 40Bs have come before us. But I felt like when we approved the last ones, our goal was to get to
the 10.
The 10.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to be in that position where we were forced to move forward on a project that we really didn't want in town. Or at least I didn't want in town, but we were forced to because we weren't at 10%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I appreciate all you've worked you guys have done. Please don't take light on the fact that I understand we've been through the process. My decision is also weighs on the community.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, going back to, we approved other ones because we had to. And I think, although we're in a great position that we could impose some conditions that we feel would be favorable to the town, I think we're in the first position that I would say that we should not move forward.
Okay. The other factor leaning against, and again, I'm just talking it through among colleagues. It does get more housing for the town, and some of it is reduced price. But your concern is
my concern
there's
is
another way to
there
do
are a
that.
couple other projects coming into town. Like one is Island Brook that we had to go over.
Oh, I
That's
know.
a ton of housing.
Yep.
So I think right now, I'm still. I get your position that we need housing, and
I'm just trying to present another side to the question.
Right.
Lucas, go ahead.
I think we know that I'm very black and white with the bylaw. I think the bylaws are to protect all our neighborhoods, and that the residents who live in an R80 are not expecting this type of development in their backyard. I believe in smart developments. I believe in 40Bs in the correct areas and at the correct time. but at this time, I don't believe that this one is needed.
And the last thing I'll ask to talk about or consider is the applicant still owns the property. He can put in, I think it was seven houses in that space. Still may need some waivers, some variance because of the access road and all, but, you know, the applicant still owns the property and can develop it in their backyards, and has some other options, but.
As long as they don't have to come to the board and ask for any kind of variance, they can do what they want.
Right.
It's within the bylaw, they should be able to do it.
Got it. Okay. So, stand by, please. Town council has provided some language for a vote, and I think this is a staged vote, so I think there are actually 3 votes as I'm reading it. Town council suggested a motion that could go either way here, but 1, the board determines that the town has achieved one of the statutory minimum standards set forth under 40B, sections 20 to 23, and the Code of Mass Regulations, numbers 56.03, parentheses 3, because the town's subsidized housing inventory, or SHI, as maintained by the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities, EOL, on the date that the application was received was 10.02%, a copy of the inventory maintained by the EOHLC for Norton being attached to this vote, and that the board determines that since the town has achieved the 10% statutory minimum under those laws and that cited regulation, the board may at its sole discretion elect to proceed with the full local hearing and ultimately approve a comprehensive permit, even though the safe harbor has been achieved, or the board may elect to impose conditions upon issuance of such a permit, and no appeal would be available to the applicant, or the board could vote to elect not to proceed with the full local hearing. Is there a motion containing that language to not proceed with the full local hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded. The language can be provided for a decision. Discussion on that motion. I think that's what we've been discussing this all along. And again, I'm trying to bounce ideas around here. That's why I've asked a couple of contrary questions, not because I feel differently, but I want to think about all sides.
No, and
I think it's a developable lot within the bylaw.
Yep.
Right.
That we have set for an RAD zone.
Yep. And that's the way it should proceed.
Yes.
And not for nothing, there was an area on Pine Street that was, I think it was right around 11 acres? Correct me if I'm wrong, Jim?
I don't remember this.
On Crane Street, I'm sorry. There was an area on Crane Street, right near where I live, and it was 11 acres, and they only put 5 houses up. So I have considered you know what I mean?
Yep, the other side.
The other side. So.
Okay. Then I'll ask for a time for a vote. Discussion over.
Discussion's over.
Mr. Tenore, how do you vote on your motion to deny the application under the safe harbor provisions of Chapter 40B?
Yes.
Mr. Wozniak, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Noel will vote likewise. So at this time, there's a second vote that I believe is necessary. If the vote is not to proceed, a motion to deny the project based on the town having achieved, well, that's what we just did.
You did that.
Yeah.
I think it was just
Then-
one motion.
Yeah, then there is a letter that town council provided in alternate language. If the members could read that, the second vote was to approve my sending that letter on the board's behalf. with the negative decision.
On June 10th, 2025, pursuant to 760 CMR 56.03, 3A and B, and 8A of the Town of Norton Zoning Board of Appeals invokes safe harbor by a vote of 3-0.
Yes.
The board has determined that since the town has achieved the 10% statutory minimum under General RC 40B and 76 CMR 56.03, subsection 1, the board may, at its sole discretion,
Yeah, it's,
elect to,
I'm sorry. Then go down to the.
yeah, I gotta go down, sorry.
Yeah.
If the vote is not to proceed further, the board voted 3-0 to deny the project based on the town's achieving the safe harbor, having 10.02% of the affordable units.
And to provide the applicant with this decision by way of this letter in the next 15 days.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the board chair sending this letter to the applicant. This is effectively the decision.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on that?
Nope.
This is all legal linguistics that Amy asked that we satisfy. Mr. Tenore, would you like me to send this letter? How do you vote on that motion?
Yes.
Mr. Wozniak?
Yes.
Mr. Noel votes yes as well. We will process this letter and get it out to the applicant and council. I just want to say, this isn't the end of this story concerning this parcel. It's going to be back in some form. That was my hesitation, but it is up to the applicant and his team to proceed how they feel appropriate. And it is up to all of you, the townspeople, to respond as you feel appropriate. We appreciate your participation. To the applicant, do appreciate your participation and the presentation. We got the overview, we got the papers, and we understand that the next move is yours, but we will get the letter to you in the next few days. And thank you for your patience and the proposal.
Thank you.
Do you have a card? If not, that's okay. Or you can email. I'm asking council for, if you want to email Paul or Brian, it'll have your address and I usually, I might have a card actually.
Hi, welcome. It was,
Otherwise, we have cards upstairs.
Well, you have their email, don't you?
we try to. I know there's a lot of other things on Facebook.
Fine, how are you?
We're not as bad as people make us out to be.
I know. Yeah. I'd ask the room to come to order because we still do have a meeting to attend to. Give you a minute to
Just a question
filter
for
out.
future. Do you guys allow written submissions?
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes it's hard.
This
to
is
kind of
me.
voice
I
your
interpret.
Yep, they go through
I don't do
our Brian,
zoning, but-
and they'll
You
be
can
put into our
email
file,
me.
and we can view them and read them.
Okay, so if it does
Okay, Paul's
proceed
giving you
further,
those. That's
I
fine.
just wanted to provide like research if I could or precedent if that would help you.
And that usually is signed though, you gotta sign it.
I
Yeah,
assume
because if we won't, anything signed, we won't,
I understand.
anonymous, we kinda know, yeah.
Okay, so in the future we can.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Hey, I want to thank you all. I was in public. I was doing this in Hopkinton. I was on the select board for 6 years, and I know what a bear it can be. So, thank you for your service.
We've never been in
And,
this position at the 10%, so as we were discussing, I'm not sure what's best here.
So your issue is just that you don't want any more big projects. Is that really what it comes down to?
You're not getting to this point. Take a look at that and then take a look at the neighborhood around it, right? You got single family homes all around.
Speak on that. We have looked
I hear
into
you,
the
but it's
planning
also-
board and some,
Yeah.
there is
I
some
know.
confusion in your bylaw.
We're gonna come back
and
with
this
something
went to-
else.
I sure, I
originally
fully
started
intend you
with
would.
the local- There is a
Of
local,
course.
I forgot that, that bylaw which allow us
But
triple
the
density.
one thing I want
and
to kind of
give,
get across
you know,
that
20%.
I didn't get a
for
chance
the,
to is
15
this
or
is
20%
home
for
ownership.
the
as opposed to rental.
For the,
right?
for the
I mean,
affordable.
And I
We did
understood
all
that because we
on board,
looked at it. I
and,
get that it was
talked about it,
home
but then when
ownership.
you
I
send
totally
to the
it's,
town
and it's the
council,
American dream. We
there's
did
a
that in
con-
Hopkinton
conflicting
too. We
bylaws.
approved it.
I'm not sure.
There's some conflicting bylaws, and then that's the reason we went into this.
And you have the right to interrupt me.
But thank you for your.
I certainly understand.
I'm
I
Frances
know you're
Camille,
going to be back
Iorio
with a
Morgan. I
different
live in the
proposal.
corner
I
of
mean, honestly, we
Maryland.
have to see how this.
There's no need to thank
my
me. I was
understanding
just-
on this whole is
everyone's
different
thanking me. It's not,
than
I didn't do
probably
it.
You-
But we'll see.
Yeah, thank you.
Lot of balls.
I think it was a little too much
Good for
packed
you.
in,
I'm Fran Morgan.
abutting the neighborhood.
The other thing is you haven't
That's
read,
just-
you haven't honestly read the letter.
Yeah, we tried to. Thank
From
you.
the abutters. I mean, it's a coalition, honestly, that letter, and I didn't want to bring it because you said don't talk about that.
Well-
That letter actually is very discriminatory.
I saw one,
Yeah, it really broke my heart,
That's
and
why
that
I
may
didn't-
go into the, because it
Yeah,
is,
I didn't- yeah,
it was
I didn't
extreme,
put
sir.
anybody to
This,
it.
I heard
this
it.
is a major, this is a major, looking for a major lawsuit,
people within our
because they're saying
community.
deny it because I am Indian.
Look, everything is.
That's what they're
everything's
saying.
marketed
I
as
saw one
glass,
reference
so
to
it's-
you sell to a certain
Yeah.
foreign group of
Yeah.
people, and it's like,
Well, they also.
believe me,
they-
that doesn't go with.
It doesn't, well,
Well, I
with us
understand,
at all.
but it does go in the records.
Yeah, I
And
know.
it does go in the records.
It's under the record.
It actually.
It is. It's
I
that
know.
very long,
Yeah,
like
and-
I stopped reading
It's
it.
And-
like,
I didn't see it.
it's 10 or 12 or 20 pages.
It was 20 pages.
Yeah,
so I
and
stopped
actually,
reading it.
they pulled out from my Facebook all the network I have, but they didn't pull out all the network I have with ethnic communities. I have a right to have.
Of course.
I believe in. I don't hide my ethnicity, and
know.
I believe in helping people. But then I'm also a member of the Rotary Club. I'm also a member of the food bank. I'm also a member. I'm head of the.
You can assure you,
Humanity Bridge
you
Foundation.
guys are coming back. You can assure none of that has any weight on my, any bearing on my decision.
I know, that's why I'm saying.
So, but to be honest,
It's the best.
if we would have not local preference, I mean, we would have not done, this whole lip application, I didn't have to go through this all thing and spend. This was the whole reason we went into that direction.
I feel like,
Select board kind of guided us this
well,
way.
and I feel like that is giving you guys false hope. And I feel terrible because I wish.
I wish that letter was never issued.
Exactly, because
Well,
it
what's
gives you
the-
false
I-
hope, and then you got to come here. And if we
Yeah.
feel differently than the
They
select
could have
board,
said
then you-
they could have said to me that, okay, go to ZBA first. By the way, those are public meetings too. It was not one; there were three.
Oh, yeah.
No, I had heard.
And
a lot.
I mean, I can understand your point of view saying I wish it would not, but they are elected board, and it was unanimous.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your
Yeah,
help.
they
Thank
were-
you, sir.
Thank you.
I see that.
Thank you again.
Yeah, good.
Good night. I'm sure you will.
Maybe want to hold on to those
Shania.
review for a second.
Kind of the idea is like, when I was trying to get.
Oh, well,
across,
well,
like,
we got
what-
yesterday,
I just said, let's wait until. Do you want?
My honest opinion was try and get the guy who spoke really well. I
The
forget
first guy
his
that
name. The
spoke.
first guy that spoke. I would get with him
Yeah.
and really try and come up with something.
Yeah, we're still
With that,
on it.
yeah.
We're still on it.
But that's just
What
me.
I got from him is that he doesn't want any more 40B. Hey, safe harbor, we don't have to do
Yeah.
it, we're not going to do it. And that's the difference between, a typical
Because
40B
people see
where
that
it's
40B,
crammed down
all
your
this
throat.
traffic, this, that is all false. The reality is that people have this whole hysteria that if 40B going behind, my property value will go down. The reality is that when I'm not putting $200,000 units. I'm putting $750,000, $800,000 units. And most of these houses are not even that value. So the value goes up.
But they did,
I thought it
I
was a
will
little
caution and
dense.
say that they had a lot of good points.
Yeah,
If
I thought it was a
you're-
little dense
It's an R80
for the
zone.
neighborhood.
It's an R80 zone,
Yes, sir.
and you're taking somebody who has this home with a wooded back lot, and suddenly they're gonna be looking at eight different units behind their house.
Yeah.
It has a big effect on the neighborhood,
Yes, sir, but
and that's why we have a zoning bylaw.
In zoning bylaws, I think you probably didn't hear, in R80 zone, you are allowed to do cluster development if you give 20%, 15 to
But isn't
20%.
that would have to go through planning?
Yes, it has to go through planning.
Go through planning.
No, but it is in the zoning bylaw. Problem is, then there is another bylaw which negate that bylaw.
Correct.
Okay? And that's what your town council was struggling with. And that's the reason we went into this route, sir.
Right.
I think it can be redesigned and reapproached.
Yeah, but
We'll see. We have spent over $500,000 on this
no,
thing.
I know. I feel bad.
We will be back. I think we got a sense as to what you're looking for,
Yeah.
just less density. Am I correct in that?
Well, thank you.
I mean, I'm not gonna.
I know.
Guys,
I know.
Yeah, I
but
mean-
it's-
strongly again recommend talk to the abutters.
Yeah.
You really need to
Strongly.
do that.
Getting about a meeting?
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would.
Good luck to you.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Quiet.
Have a good
Have a
night.
good night. Thank you.
Guys, thank
Good luck, good luck.
Awesome.
Thank you. It's famous. It's on Fox News.
What's that?
They have them though,
The
they
hat
don't
is.
even say Fenway, it's just
Yeah.
the triangle. It's not bad.
It's on Fox News.
That's cool.
Do you know that?
Your hat or a hat?
My hat.
My name's on the fence.
Your name is on the fence.
A magic marker?
Are you guys still in session?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Nothing to hide.
Yeah.
But let's, yeah, let's
Still
go,
online?
let's continue with the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I ask one question?
All right.
There are
Yes,
three
sir.
of you, right? So you're looking for two people.
We
Yes,
can-
please.
We are a 3 to 5 member board.
Well, because if I sometimes
Don't
because we're
go.
on the record and I can't make it for work purposes,
Yeah.
it really hurts because you can't have a meeting out of a quorum.
You don't have a quorum, okay.
Yeah, that's a
We
problem.
have, we can have 5 members on this board.
And I'm an alternate.
Yep.
But what is
I wanna
that?
go back
That's
to-
what I'm really
You're
getting at.
not, you're the, but you're
But
an
I am now the
alternate.
third member because there
Well,
is
what
no.
happens with the two alternates if you filled in the two positions? Do they vote?
No.
No.
They attend. The
But if-
alternates,
but
I
if
mean,
one of
Lucas
us is
is an
not here,
alternate.
yeah.
Right.
So does it behoove them not to show up? I mean, do they show up and do nothing all night?
Well, no,
they
because
can
they're here,
participate.
they participate, they ask questions, they're there, they just don't vote. But if for some reason, one of the voting members don't show up, they can then step
Or
in
if-
because.
or if there's a
or-
conflict.
Or if there's a conflict,
It's
right.
my neighbor, or, developing a
Okay.
house.
But they're
something.
they're still supposed to show up even though they can't vote.
Correct.
Yeah, they're supposed to.
But if they're the alternate and they don't show up,
They can't vote.
obviously.
That's what I did
But-
for a year.
but
Yeah.
we
I didn't
need-
show up.
But
we need 3 votes. To
But it's almost
constitute-
like who's going to be here,
Yeah.
and then the alternate says, I don't have to be here.
Yeah.
Because you
that
got 3
happens.
already.
That
Yep.
happens.
It's a part-time job.
If you want to call it a job.
Yeah, I guess.
But if you're not here for the conversation the week before and it gets continued.
Right.
Right.
Now you can't
Once,
vote the next
once you're
week
not
either.
there, you're
Yeah.
out of the picture for that development or
Yeah,
that.
well, you could watch the video and.
That is
go
your
in
hat.
Yeah, it is.
That's really funny.
The Mullen form, yes.
So you
There is a-
could.
When was
There is a
that?
way back in.
Couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think I saw that last meeting, actually.
But once you
How
miss
did
it,
you say
once
that?
you
Oh,
miss it from
did?
the start, you miss it from.
I'll watch for the
You can
hat
still get
then on
back
the
in,
news.
just watch
Not
the
anymore.
videos and attest to that.
Just one.
Just one.
Yeah.
Take them, you can watch the video.
Let's go. I'm sorry, I didn't,
Thank you, guys.
not trying to
Thank
be
you.
rude. Paul, you're right to rush us along.
I need a warning. I need a bigger warning next time for this.
Oh, that was.
Not a text message like, hey, be prepared. I'm like, oh, 10 people will show up.
You saw 40B on the list and you weren't ready to be prepared? Come on.
No, because Island Brook, there was
Island Brook,
nobody.
there wasn't no one.
13 years ago it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they gave up.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, but it also goes, like, we had the 40Bs on Mansfield Ave. We did full advertisement for it, full of butters, but
It wasn't
there-
of much interest.
we had one person.
Because it
who-
fits in the right neighborhood.
Yeah.
They were the right projects for that area.
Yes,
You had
100%.
to, So even if I come and yell, scream, and fire away, there's not much we can do anyway.
Well, the reality was one person showed up for for the 253 project, and she just wanted a couple of conditions,
Right.
and they were added.
Yeah.
Paul, not to extend the meeting much further,
Please.
but what's going on with 235 Mansfield?
253?
Thank you.
253?
Do we know what's going on?
I've had conversations with him. I don't know.
Because that is an approval.
It's an
I think
approval,
it's still
but
live.
he's.
It's still valid.
I
It
think.
is, but he's looking to do some modifications in that area.
This is the one to
so-
the left of Alberto's?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, but he hasn't submitted anything, and I can't publicly talk about something we
Nope.
haven't received,
I
so
understood.
he has some
just want my
ideas he's
contract.
working on.
So we're not there yet. Okay.
And that does not count, if
Good.
you look at the subsidized housing inventory, that project no longer counts toward the 10%,
Now, why?
because they didn't pull building permits.
Within a certain time.
You have a year.
Yeah.
So within a year that was, the comprehensive permit was approved, it counted, and then it got taken off. So that's why as soon as
Got it.
the Island Brook comes in.
Can't make them do it. They got.
I think these guys are going to drive around and count the houses by hand to get under 10%.
Yeah, I know. I'll make my house affordable.
As our market rate housing grows,
Not painted, not paint the fence.
as the market rate housing grows, that 10.02 will eventually change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we do have some affordable
Yeah,
units
there are
in
some.
the hopper. and-
Should come online.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Okay, the agenda is, that's the last item on the agenda. Hopefully there are no bills and warrants.
Nope.
Nope.
Brian's not here, so let's get out of
Time's
here.
expired.
Yeah, let's go.
Approval of meeting minutes, oops.
Yeah, let's not, I'm
No,
not
we're
doing
not
that.
doing that either.
I just
look
lost
at
my,
this.
I just lost my contact.
Oh,
He can't see. Oh,
I can't
do
see.
it.
We gotta go.
okay.
Oh, I was just gonna, if they were gonna make a motion, but you go ahead.
Will they put my name on the fence with a happy face there?
Last time, we need to sign.
We have minutes from last meeting?
The ones you approve also need to be
Oh,
signed by you.
sure, okay.
Because
Did you email those to me, or should I just sign these
these are the,
copies?
you can just sign those.
Okay.
Just make sure that.
Okay, then, is there anything else to come before the zoning board tonight? Except for contact lenses? No. Hearing none?
Nope.
Is there a motion to adjourn at 9:32?
Yes, adjourned, motion, granted.
Second, granted.
Second.
We are
Aye.
adjourned at 9:32. Thank you.
I wish there was an app.